into the Midday Show alongside Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Brendan Gunn producing the show today. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Ray. Great to be with you, my man.
It's been a while since we worked together on there. I guess we had the post-game call-in.
It's not the same. We didn't have the face-to-face.
It's certainly not the same. I felt for you after that Browns game.
It broke me.
It broke you. To know that football guy Andrew DeCecco was broken by a preseason game is just how bad that one was. I'm so excited for late-night, Friday night phone call from MetLife on how Eagles-Jets go.
Yeah, just ask me another trivia question. Remember, you tried to stump me with Andy Hall.
You did pretty good with that. I knew you were going to do well with that. That was not me trying to stump you. We got off the air, and Kevin's like, oh, wow, you're going to have to. I was like, I thought that was just a fun little DeCecco segment.
Andy Hall, Delaware, 2004, number 9. He wore number 9.
See? No one's questioning your knowledge here on this one. I was throwing out a fun question. People have no idea what happened on the postgame show on Saturday. What they do know is how the Phillies did this week. We're going to get to that in just a second. Camp comes to an end. I'm going to get the entire breakdown.
Sure.
Camp while I have you here for the next 2, and maybe we'll convince you to stay for 2.5 hours. Who knows? You know? If we have a good time, who knows how long he could stick around and hang out with us here on the Midday Show. But let's start with the Phillies because they sweep Seattle this week. And if you heard me at all on Monday, I was in a bad way. After the Zach Wheeler news, I was doom, gloom. I thought for sure this team, chances, out the window. I was like, I can't see the path. I was already sitting there saying, if you gave me truth serum and asked me right now where I thought this journey ended, somebody in the National League clips them right before the World Series in the NLCS. That was where I was at Monday. And then they try and win me back Monday night. Like, you can't do it. You can't win me back that fast.
You're fragile, yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday, they try and win me back in. I'm still being a little protective. And then yesterday, I'm watching as they pour it on late in the game. And even before that, where they were able to just kind of walk the tightrope, even though Robertson allows the run, Banks comes in and closes it down. We're going to get to the Alvarado portion of this entire conversation coming up later on in the hour. Just watch them pour on runs, and the offense have a historic series. The starting pitching have a historic series. And I went back to something we talked about on Tuesday, and Brendan Gunn will remember this conversation, where after they win Monday night, it was like one of those like 11 o'clock hour segments where I'm like, this is just a thought that occurred to me. It's not necessarily a driving force the way I feel right now, but it's something that occurred to me. Is there a chance that you just kind of look around at each other after the Zach Wheeler news and say, well, screw it. No one else thinks at this point that we're going to be capable of doing it. The biggest reason why we would be able to do it right there is no longer right now. We have no timetable, but right now playing with us. The best player on this team is not available. Why not? Why not? Like, instead of putting pressure on yourselves to go out and perform at a greater level, it frees you up where you feel almost the absence of pressure there, and it serves as a rallying point for you to go play your best baseball. That's how I feel like the last 3 days went.
Sounds kind of like Lou Brown in Major League. There's only one thing left to do, win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was like just a thought that occurred to me instead of like, because we talked who's under the most pressure. What if the pressure just releases there? And it just becomes one of those rallying cries and rallying moments for you to go out there and go on a run. They still can't win me back after 3 games. I know Kevin Cooney somewhere listening to the opening of this show laughing like, I told him he'd get swept up in it again. And yeah, I think after the last 3 days, there's part of me does get swept up in it. But that mentality, you've been in locker rooms and clubhouses, you talk to more athletes than, I would say pretty much everyone that's on the air here, the way you are day in and day out being inside there in that locker room. Is that an actual mentality that can permeate and actually take hold, or is that more us writing movie scripts here in Sports Talk Radio?
No, it can. You kind of band together and you know what you're up against, and you have to rely on one another to get the job done. And you know how much talent's there, but you don't want the season to be for naught. So I think that there is that rallying cry. And you saw that actually, I guess, 2017 when Carson Wentz goes down and they rallied around Nick Foles. And there's countless other examples, and I think the Phillies being the most recent.
And right now, do you think that this series, because there's the old correlation doesn't equal causation. Maybe it's not that what happened, the news, that is what ends up causing them to start going. There's adjustments you're making within the season. There's guys that I know the story came out today from Matt Gelb in The Athletic of what Stott's doing right now, dropping the hands a little bit and trying to get at least a little bit different up there mechanically at the plate. So maybe it's not necessarily that, something mentality-wise clicked in that clubhouse. He's made an adjustment. Kepler's maybe made a little bit of an adjustment. Turner's playing up to the level that he would expect to. Like, all these guys are just starting to play well at the right time, and it doesn't have anything to do with the news. Do you think that this is more indicative of a team that's kind of had that pressure release, or just a nice couple of games for a group?
Well, right now, I need to see more, right? I mean, I think right now they're sort of fueled off the adrenaline of the news that came down from Zach Wheeler. But the Phillies have been a streaky team all year. No one's doubting that they're a good baseball team, right? But it's about being consistent and playing complementary baseball. That's what we've seen in that past series. If they're able to kind of use that as a launching pad forward, then they're going to have something there. But they're just as easily to, a couple series from now, have a 4-hit game.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing you get concerned about. Like the weekend, you get that energy jolt of you score 11, you're able to rally on Sunday, get the split in D.C., get back home, the energy of getting back home, you get the sweep over the Mariners. It's like, oh, Nationals show up. Like this is the ultimate, oh, yeah, we can walk past D.C. We can end up taking care of business here. Like this weekend will be a nice show of, okay, can that focus stay? But this was a massive test that they passed with flying colors. I mean, this was tremendous baseball to play against a good baseball team after the news you got. I mean, this was historic in the way they hit the ball. I mean, 20-plus hits, multiple games of the series, all the starting pitching, all 3 pitchers with 10-plus strikeouts. It's really hard to fight a little bit of the feeling you get watching this team because you start to feel like the ceiling that you thought had just been lowered. Like, wait. I know they don't have Zach Wheeler. But this is the lineup you waited to see. And, you haven't seen this lineup put together, the approach, the way to manufacture runs, the way that they've just, been able to take the ball to all fields, productive outs.
Runners in scoring position, taking advantage of that.
Taking bases. You haven't seen that from this group in a 3-game sample size the way you did this week. Quite a while. I mean, the level of production you get from this group is the best of the season. You got the Mariners at a good time. They're at the end of a road trip. They're on the East Coast, the whole thing. But you probably put together your most impressive series of the season following what was the most devastating news of the season, which I think speaks to a little bit of that clubhouse.
Which is why I need to see more.
Right.
Same thing for Luzardo and Ranger Suarez. Those are 2 pitchers that have been streaky. You see the Jekyll and Hyde, especially with Ranger after the All-Star break. But the bottom of the lineup, the bottom of that order, I thought really stepped up to the occasion. Bryson Stott going yard the other night. I mean, that's what they need. You have to be able to play complementary baseball, and I think too often this season they've been overly reliant on the starting pitching, sometimes squandering really good efforts from them, and they really need the bats to come alive and stay alive for this season to be fruitful.
So Rob Thompson was asked post-game, what did he learn from his group this week? Following the Zach Wheeler news, you go out, you sweep the Mariners. What did Rob Thompson learn about his group? Here was his answer.
I really didn't learn anything because I know who they are, and they grind, and they're resilient, and they fight. And Will's news is awful, and I feel for Wheels and his family. But they're not gonna cancel games on us, so we got to keep playing.
They're not going to cancel games on us.
Was he in an airplane?
Hey, man. However you get that audio from inside that room, Andrew DeCecco, you get it.
Sounds like he might have been in a chopper or something like that.
But Rob Thompson didn't learn anything. I'm curious if people felt they learned something about this group this week with the way they handled the adversity ahead of them. And do you believe the situation like what we saw this weekend can actually serve as a rallying point for this group? 610-632-0975. One guy who believes they have the ingredients to get something done. A man that we talk to weekly here on The Fanatic. In fact, on this program, we used to talk to him weekly up until last week. He's the one and only, the Hall of Famer, Jason Stark. He was on with Unfiltered yesterday. What he had to say yesterday, my ears perked up. The Hall of Famer says it. Maybe I got to get back to believing, Andrew DeCecco. Looking forward to a fun couple hours with you here on the Midday Show. He's Andrew DeCecco. We got plenty of Birds camp content. I got questions for you. All right, I have a lot of questions I need answers.
I have answers.
All right, good. Because coming up in the bottom of the hour, he's going to answer a lot of the questions I have about this Birds team. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic. starting to enjoy that. Like Connor working his way after the first segment in here. That's now the second time he's done it, so maybe this has become a little bit of a new tradition.
We didn't get a chance to, bond and catch up.
Well, I usually get a chance to catch up with Connor Thomas. Hi, by the way. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Here on the Midday Show, Brendan Gunn produced the show. Usually it's the producer back and forth after the one show before the next show. It's a nice 5-minute crossover where we talk about everything under the sun. But we haven't gotten that the last week and a half. Connor's been in there. He's been chopping up with B. Gunn, even though everyone's trying to stay away from B. Gunn right now. Like, that's pretty much, I've missed the back and forth there. So I like this little new tradition we got going. I know he's fired up about this.
It's nice. It's nice.
There's probably few people in the world that enjoyed the last 3 days as much as Connor Thomas enjoyed the last 3 days.
You can see the pure joy on his face when his post-game reaction video always hits the timeline.
And Monday, he was trying to fight the doom and gloom. Like, he did not
Even
feel
Connor?
good. Well, he was not feeling good. But you could tell he was just like, he wanted to have the reason to believe.
He was trying to believe. He was like the little
to
kid in Angels in the Outfield. It could happen. Yeah.
And to his credit, the last 3 days makes you feel a little bit better about this.
It did happen, yeah.
I mean, they did give you an incredible response to it. If they came home and just kind of turtled up against a really good team, I can only imagine. And that's part of why I want to open the show with this today, because if this series had gone the opposite way, where there's a sweep, and the Mariners came in here and just took care of business, I mean, today we would be just, all right, well, Eagles start, 2 weeks from today? That's good. That's good news, because this season, that would be the temperature surrounding the Phillies today, that this season is cooked. And I'm not telling you that I think all of a sudden everything has been fixed, everything's going to work out, but you can't ignore a historically good series from this Phillies team that makes you realize, again, why there is a little cause to believe. I can't get all the way there, but someone that can really do a good job of convincing me of things is one Jason Stark. And he was on Unfiltered yesterday in the 5 o'clock hour. And he started to go into the world the Phillies are in without Zach Wheeler, and whether or not this group has enough to do it. And to do it, meaning to win the World Series without Zach Wheeler, because Monday that was the talk. You don't have Zach Wheeler, you don't have the great equalizer for any series for you. I feel like your chances have gone out the window. The Hall of Famer, the co-host of Starkville, the man, the myth, the legend.
He is a legend.
He is.
Absolutely.
No, enjoy talking baseball with him. So when he says something, I'm going to listen. This is what he had to say about the Phillies and their chances now without Zach Wheeler.
What if there's no Zach Wheeler in October? Is there still a viable path for the Phillies to win the World Series? I mean, they just swept the Mariners, crushed the Mariners, and that is a playoff team. It's a team that I thought before 3 days ago could win the World Series. And Zach Wheeler threw no pitches in this series. So it's telling you that they've got ingredients that could get this done. I just always felt like the path was run the best starting rotation in baseball out there, give up as few runs as a team with that kind of rotation will give up. It means you're going to be ahead. It means a bullpen with Yon Duran is going to protect those leagues. That's a viable path to winning the World Series. The margin for error without Zach, face it, is just a lot slimmer.
It is a lot slimmer, and that's why we don't feel great about their chances to go do it. But listen to him talk about it there. If you get starting pitching like you got in this series, okay, we did the show Tuesday, where it was, okay, what do you have to see next 6 weeks to buy back fully and believe that this is World Series team? Mm-hmm. And the thing was, what you saw Monday night was indicative of it. Ranger Suarez is another starter alongside Sanchez that if he has a consistent stretch to end this season, you'll feel good about in a postseason rotation. And the bats, and I forget, I think it was Bewilder on YouTube chat. It was like, oh, yeah, if they score a dozen runs a game, yeah, they will be fine. They will. I was like, all right, yeah, I get it. I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for this level of offensive production. But if you get this way of scoring, where, yeah, they're obviously, we've talked about it, they need to bash. The team needs to hit home runs. But you are able to manufacture runs, taking the extra base, taking advantage of pretty much what the pitcher gives you there, where Stott knocks a ball down the left field line, where he's been talking about how he doesn't want to go to left field and he's just trying to get really to the center of the ball instead of just getting under it and pushing it to left field. That time, he just is able to knock that one right past Suarez over at third base, and that creates something for you. Those opportunities that you're getting right now, to me, are the reasons to say, okay, if they get that type of production, maybe not that level, from their offense, where they are hitting home runs, but they're able to manufacture runs beyond that, and they get that level of starting pitching, that is the pathway. But Jason Stark, wisely at the end there, says it is slimmer without Zach Wheeler. You know it's slimmer without Zach Wheeler. But there is the little part of the last 3 days where you say, okay, on Monday morning, I was down in a bad way. This team did everything they could in the last 3 days to try and pick you up and pick themselves up and say, hey, listen, it's not that we have a better chance today than when we woke up last Thursday. But there's still a chance there. Don't count out the possibility of us going on a run. That's what this week felt like.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the headliners, Ray. That's what I think really piqued my interest here. It wasn't just the starting pitching. It was guys like Bryson Stott, Max Kepler that were picking up and holding up their end of the bargain. And I think when you see a collective effort like the Phillies just showed, that's what makes it all the more frustrating when they don't hit, when they fall to inferior teams, because you see what they're able to do when they're really firing on all cylinders.
What I really hope happened inside of that clubhouse was they were driving in to the ballpark on Monday, and they were like, who's that moron with the microphone doing the midday show? Like, Ray Dunn, to hell with that guy saying we don't have a World Series chance. Listen, Ray Dunn doesn't believe in us. We don't care. The rest of the world doesn't believe this happens. We don't care.
Yeah. Big chip on their shoulder because of Ray Dunn.
That's what I needed to know. I needed to know inside that clubhouse. Like, they looked up, they did the Ricky Bo drop of, who the hell is Ray Dunn? And then they were like, you know what? Whatever he's saying about World Series chances, we don't care. Let's go win 3 straight. Because we know they all consult with Dr. Mike the Switch. They're listening to us right here. You know, they want to make sure they have a World Series opportunity. They hear me saying on Monday, no shot. Like, that Kevin Cooney guy was really measured in his take about the baseball. That Ray Dunn guy, he lost his mind. Let's go show him this week. And they did.
I'm more along the lines of where you are, though. You still need to see more.
Yeah.
But what we just saw was super encouraging and an indicator that they have what it takes to really use that and propel forward.
Now, one guy they're going to use over the next 6 weeks but not having that postseason chase is Jose Alvarado. And I know the morning show got into this today. I saw a ton of discourse over this on social media yesterday. Alvarado returns. 1, 2, 3, 8th inning. We're not going to talk at all about his pitching. We're going to talk about the entrance for him because his pitching, by the way, 98, 99. Got a couple ground balls in there. Like, okay, that's Jose Alvarado. That's the guy you expect. He's back. There were a couple pitches you were like, I don't know if he knew where that was going. But that's the Jose Alvarado experience. But the experience of him entering the game caused a lot of conversation. Alongside Andrew DeCecco, I'm Ray Dunn. Taking you through the midday show. We'll get to that coming up next here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils complete the sweep. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. Yes, the Phillies swept the Mariners, winning the final game yesterday by a score of 11-2. Jesus Luzardo was on the mound, and he was solid. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 12 batters yesterday. It was the 3rd time this series. All 3 games, the starting pitcher for the Phils struck out double-digit batters. At the plate, the Phils were just as good. They put together another 20-plus hit game yesterday for the 2nd time this series. Trey Turner came through with 5 more hits yesterday, and Kyle Schwarber, he continues to make a case for MVP with 5 more RBI. The Phils have a day off today before beginning a weekend series against the Nationals tomorrow. Now training camp is officially over for the Birds, and we're officially 2 weeks away from Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys on September 4th. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the Jets. One guy you shouldn't expect to see on that field because he hasn't practiced for a couple of weeks is A.J. Brown. But don't worry, though. Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said Brown's health should not be an issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, oh, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was also brought to you by Discover. Do you know it's accepted at 99% of the places that take credit cards nationwide? If you guessed Discover, you guessed right based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Working our way through the 10 o'clock hour here with Andrew DiCecco. Out of the Phillies conversation. It's just sometimes you need the team to pick you up. Maybe they don't necessarily have that responsibility to make me personally feel better, but they did that this week. They certainly did that over the last 3 days with the sweep of the Mariners, and I have to give credit where credit's due, because this is around the time of the show where I'd be saying, I think I did yesterday, well, it's a day game, it's the third game of a 3-game series. You know how these usually go, because they were 15-20 in the third game of a 3-game series going into yesterday, and they were 24-24 in day games going into yesterday. Day games, they just, for some reason, it just doesn't work out for them. I don't know. The third game of a 3-game set hadn't worked out for them. They get the sweep. Again, I really do think they were like, shut up, Ray Dunn. We don't need you. We don't need your assessment of what's happening.
They stiff-armed you.
They did, and they're doing a tremendous job. If they want to continue to do this to get me to shut up, I'm all good with it. He's Andrew DiCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Reacting to the Phillies' 3-game sweep, do you think there is a way that the news they got over the weekend serves as a rallying point for them the rest of the way at 610-632-0975? Now, something that was a topic of conversation today, and you were with the morning show. You were hanging out with Kincade and Salciunas from 8 to 10. Wonderful to listen on the way in as I'm getting ready. A little bit jealous, that, I was like, God, they're going to hang out with DiCecco. Like, he's going to be tired by the time he sees me,
No, man, I have plenty of energy. I'm just starting to wake up.
Good. See, me too. I can never, whenever I'd fill in on the morning show, that 6 o'clock hour, I'm useless. 7 o'clock hour, pretty much useless.
Yeah, but 10 o'clock.
By the time 10 o'clock comes around, my brain wakes up by 11. So we're almost there. But they were talking a lot about the Alvarado standing ovation, the cheering for him when he came into the game.
Right.
And 2 days ago, Brandon Gunn is my witness. I said I thought he was going to get cheered. I just thought that's where we were at as a town. I was kind of made out to feel crazy. Not that anyone was coming at me per se. Like, they didn't attack me from the morning show. I don't necessarily think the texters that chimed in on that were attacking me per se. I think it was just everyone voicing their displeasure. I saw one of the more measured people I think that I've worked around is Tom Alvarado. I saw him tweeting out yesterday, if I can't get down to the game today, but if Alvarado gets in, someone boo him for me. And I was like, all right, well, Tommy Boy's out of the bed. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, I thought by the way everyone else was reacting, I was like, I guess I must be crazy for thinking that our fan base is going to cheer for him when he comes out there. I assumed he was going to get cheers. The standing ovation kind of comes with the fact there's no other action going on and people are cheering. And if they're going to cheer him, they're going to try and go full bore in support of him. So I wasn't caught off guard by it. When it happened, I was more like, oh, yeah, I guess the people are just excited to see him again. And it's been 80 games. You realize there's 6 weeks left in the season. He's going to be on the roster. So if he's going to be on the roster, you're going to need him to get outs from here to the end to win your division, to get you the postseason seeding you need. And to me, I don't think he's actually served the real punishment yet. Like, 80 games, not getting paid, that's punishment, sure. And I'm sure for his wallet, maybe that's how he feels the real punishment is. But to me, the real punishment is the fact you're not going to be there for the postseason. This is what really hurts them. So the real punishment for me is what comes next for him and the next time that he steps away from the team. So maybe I am too, young, gleeful, positivity, like, hey, let's, just love everybody and support and all this thing. Maybe that's where my thought process comes in this, but I really wasn't surprised by the reaction. I could tell you if I was there, I'd probably be sitting in the seat doing a little like, hey, look, it's good to see him again.
Yeah.
I also think that for what we do, we are by nature in these seats always very cynical on the messages that are delivered by the organization. By nature, we should question what is being fed to us because ultimately you have the function of a journalist in what you do in covering the Eagle. We, here, just that only do sports talk radio, I think have a function of the kind of the crossover of fan and journalist where, you could kind of support, but you also have the line of, well, wait, why are they telling us that? Like our little thing going right now with Rob Thompson in the outfield, where I'm sitting here like, okay, hard turf in Texas, pre-planned day off for Castellanos in D.C., and then yesterday now they have a rotation. Like, we're being lied to. But as a fan, you could kind of brush those things off. You could pick and choose what you're interested in. Fans can pick and choose what they buy. And for some fans, I think they're like, well, Alvarado was trying to get better. He wanted to he took this supplement. Maybe they believe the weight loss thing. Maybe they don't believe the weight loss thing. They're more like, he made a mistake. He's paid his 80 games. And now he's on my team and he's wearing my jersey.
Right.
I'm going to support the guy. And I understand how a fan comes to that realization. To me, that was where I thought a lot of fans were going to come down on this whole thing. So I wasn't as taken aback or, I guess, upset by the fact that they cheered for him. I was like, yeah, that kind of checks. That kind of makes sense with what I expect from where this town is at right now in terms of the way our fans express themselves.
Yeah, I think you know where I land on this, Ray. I couldn't care less.
I figured.
Like, I mean, they're showing support for him, and if you don't, you can boo. You have the option to do whatever. I don't particularly make anything of it one way or the other. I more so see it as a lot of folks were looking forward to seeing him after such a long layoff, and he paid his time. He's back. He's wearing a Phillies jersey, and I kind of didn't read anything into it any more than that.
Yeah, I anticipate people to be upset about him in general. Like, it's not that I didn't think that there wasn't going to be backlash to people cheering, but I was not surprised to get that cheering. And I think Brendan Gunn, you gave a really interesting perspective on this while we're sitting around in the back just kicking this around before the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at who's going to the games these days, who has the expendable income. I think it's the young millennials, it's guys like my age, DeCecco's age, your age, that grew up in a generation that they idolized a Donovan McNabb, and they saw the older generation boo this guy, even though you got the NFC championship after NFC championship after NFC championship. Now, he had his shortcomings, but when you're a kid, you don't quite understand all that. And then you see guys like Ryan Howard go out there, hits nearly 60 home runs. But for some reason, he was the guy that was finger pointed at by the fans and booed. And Jimmy Rollins was an MVP, but he didn't run hard enough or whatnot. You hear all these guys get criticized when you're young, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And now you're at that stage. You're like, well, I'm going to be the exact opposite of that. I'm going to put these guys on a pedestal and show, hey, we got your back.
And I think this is the extreme example of that, because the ones you line out there where, the issues with Rollins, Howard, McNabb, not exactly to the level of performance-enhancing drugs and the suspension and all that. So I think you lay out that this is almost the extreme, the other way, the extreme reaction the other way, where I think there's a generation of fandom that sits there and says, well, you were negative about things that I was positive about. Instead of me going absolutely negative on this and ripping this guy apart for what he did, I'm just going to support him because he's back out there and he's a part of my team. And I think that is a true divide along the fan base of like, I don't want to be the generation above me. I'm not saying either one right or wrong. I think that's just part of the response, which is why yesterday when I see the standing ovation or see the cheers for Alvarado, I don't lose my mind, because I guess maybe I've seen that generation because I'm closer in age and I maybe interact more with that generation. Mm-hmm. That makes me understand where they're coming from and understand why they did it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's more tolerant, and they're trying to do the opposite of what had always been commonplace.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I more so look at it as they're trying to support, and they're trying not to be a negative force towards somebody who is here right now to help the Philadelphia Phillies. That's right. The bottom line.
And that's kind of where I come down on it. It's not that I was over the moon, like I was out there with signs and I would have been out there.
You weren't?
Let's go. Like, I wasn't probably going to lose my mind after that 1-2-3 inning where he's throwing 99. I believe there was a little bit of a fist bump from the couch. I was like,
you're like, all is forgiven. Yeah.
Look who's back, baby. But in the moment, I think it would have been just a nice little clap. I wasn't going to boo the guy. I'm not a huge boo guy anyways. So I probably would have been, clap. Hey, he's back. I think the music going a little bit would have had me a little nostalgic. Oh, man, like, remember the good old days before we had to have these Alvarado conversations? All right, coming up, bottom of the hour, some Eagles talk. Camp is finally over, and I know for a football guy like you,
I'm sad, man.
You're sad. I could not be more thrilled. Let's recap it, Andrew DeCecco,
Absolutely.
so we can move on.
Oh,
closer
come on.
to real football.
Training camp's awesome.
For you. Get me to the season. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back into the Midday Show. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Now, this news that just came out. I know Brendan Gunn's all over it. I'm getting texts now from my old roommates, friends. Did you see?
I didn't.
Did
I don't
you
know.
see?
No.
Well, as the sports complex continues to undergo some changes,
Oh, I saw the name.
Xfinity
Okay.
Live is now stateside live.
Oh, that's what you're referring to. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah, that's big news.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's a generational run they're on. They've gone from a small Philly business to like
I think
the drink of every Major League Baseball team, and now the name of
And
the
the
complex.
official drink of
that is cool.
a lot of people I know, maybe even myself. I love a good orange stateside. I'm a big fan of the stateside.
Well, we've known you to indulge.
Once or twice, 3 times. We hung out.
Yeah,
at
we had a few.
the place formerly known as Xfinity Live.
Yes.
That's about to be stateside live. Yeah.
We had a few at Stateside Live.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the stateside. This is great news. My old roommate's like that. He's probably the one that enjoys statesides most of my life. He's like, I'm never coming home. Like, good for you, man. You
That's
enjoy
all I
stateside
drink,
live.
to be honest with you.
But they're
Like,
delicious. They're delicious. So I'm excited for
They
stateside
quench
live.
the thirst.
Also, the picture that's used, because we saw this on Crossing Broad. The picture that's used is the mock-up of like what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I could see is the crush bar right in the middle there. That's it's going to be a good time. I'm excited for Xfinity Live to expand in that way. And
I mean, I think they should have an amount of times where you're allowed to actually go there. Like for Ray Dunn, like once a week.
yeah, no, come on, you can't. Especially with Red October coming up, you can't limit the fun.
you're bought back in already.
Well, listen,
Look at this guy.
I was there for Game 1 of the NLDS last year. I watched them lose with the Zach Wheeler start. After that, I was like, all right, well, they're cooked. I still tried to go to Game 2. I didn't get the tickets for it. But what am I going to do? Not do what I do every October now? I want to go to postseason games. I want to be down there in South Philly for postseason games.
You're going to have to pay rent at that Stateside, whatever the place is.
Stateside Live, man.
Stateside Live, all right.
It's like Xfinity Live, but it's called Stateside Live. It's not that
You're more
complicated.
excited about it than I am.
I'm quite excited by it. This is news that a lot of people care about in this one. I care about that place. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah, it is.
I enjoy it. All right. Speaking of Red October, Greg from Bethlehem calling at 610-632-0975, talking about the response from the Phillies after losing Zach Wheeler, obviously with the situation over the weekend. Greg, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Gentlemen, good morning. I'm still waiting for the rage bait that they talk about on Unfiltered. But
Oh, don't worry. I got
that's
Rage
another-
Bait coming up at the start of the 11 o'clock hour. That's coming.
I think their promos are crazy. But anyway.
Wow, they're doing a good job. We appreciate
yeah.
what Billy C. and,
Yeah,
and
they're-
Ricky Bo are building.
Yeah, they're my guys. I'm part of that show, so I'm loyal with them.
Well, I agree. They bring a lot to the table, but they shouldn't be taking shots. But anyway.
They're not taking shots at us, Greg. Don't worry.
They're not taking shots, but all right.
Okay. When Wheeler went down, the Phillies could have folded their tent and gone into a death spiral. And, the last 3 games, I don't think I could have expected anything better than what we saw. The starting pitching, it seems like we've got 3 solid starters, at least for now. And the lineup, everybody participated. I mean, that's what we've been calling for all season, and we finally got it 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I mean, and Greg, we appreciate the phone call. You were able to see that over 3 games, top to bottom in the lineup, and he mentions the 3 starting pitchers. We're going to get into that a little bit later on in the show. We're talking about postseason rotations. Suarez needs to show you more before the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Luzardo over the last 5 starts has shown you a positive trend line after what was a shaky middle of the season.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that's really stuck out, as we're going to get into later on in the show. But 3 starters with 10-plus strikeouts, it's really hard to score runs where you're not even putting the ball in play. Something we know pretty well here from watching that team time and time again.
Absolutely.
So I think that he talks about what was positive about this week, and you certainly feel like there was an energy about this group following the news about Zach Wheeler. Now, Andrew DeCecco, I do want to switch gears to some Eagles, because I have you here for 2, maybe 2.5, depending about how it goes.
You can have me here till noon.
I have you for at least 2 hours here, and
Maybe 1 o'clock.
you don't want to miss the NFL notes at noon. That's what I'm saying. So at least you have to stay till 12:07.
Maybe 1 o'clock you have me. We'll see.
Listen, we're open to negotiations here, okay? You and someone from the back of the building, because I don't have any negotiation power on that one. But we'll have you here for a little while. While I have you, I want to get into some Eagles. Training camp, from the big picture, what do you feel like you learned the most over the 3 weeks that you were down there at NovaCare?
I think I learned that the Eagles have the best linebacking situation that they've had in quite some time. I've also learned, but I've learned this over the past couple years, they have a tremendous set of assistant coaches, and they are hands-on, explaining the fundamentals, taking a player aside, and sort of teaching them what they did wrong on a given play. There is just a sense of brotherhood, and everybody's trying to make everyone better. And Nick Sirianni and the Eagles run a very fast and efficient and get a lot done in amount of 2-hour practice. So I think I've just learned that the Eagles have a strong support system to continue to develop a lot of the young players, specifically on the defensive side. I do have some questions, though, because the two primary questions that I went into training camp trying to learn was who was going to be the second cornerback, who was going to be the safety opposite Reed Blankenship. After 18 practices and 2 preseason games, we still don't have any clarity on that front.
That's a little annoying, a little obnoxious. I think if you had to call it right now, though, I believe from talking to you, Adoree Jackson seems to be week 1.
Yes.
I think if we talked week 18, our answer might change there.
Yeah, I don't see Adoree Jackson there week 18.
But week 1, Adoree Jackson, and assuming health, and this is a guy I've said a few times on this program. I'm going to say it directly to your face because I said it to you over the phone on postgame. I say right to you, I need you to be right about Drew Makuba more than I've ever needed you to be right about anything else in your life.
And so far I have been in the game that you saw him play in.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I listened to your show when I was driving home.
I'm just saying I need you to be right about him more than anything else in my time. More than you would be right about me. Your belief in me, I don't care at all about.
What about your belief in me?
Yeah. I got plenty of belief in you, but the people listen to me, they're like, when is Ray ever right? So you might not want my belief in you. I need you to be right about Drew Makuba.
Yeah,
so bad.
He was my 3rd-rated safety in the draft. I was bullish on him. I had a late 2 on him, and I think a lot of folks had a 3rd-round grade on him. But I viewed him as one of the more intelligent defensive players in this class, versatile, tough, rangy, and he really is the quintessential Vic Fangio safety. He allows the defense to be multiple, and once he starts to settle in, you allow different pieces to kind of fall into place, and your secondary is going to benefit greatly from it. Sidney Brown's had a nice training camp. You can't take anything away from him. He hasn't given up anything egregious, but he also hasn't made the splash play. I still do have questions, though, however, how he's going to fit as a post player in that Vic Fangio defense.
All right, coming up. Biggest surprise, biggest disappointment from camp, as well as we have branded this program the official Kevin Patullo show.
Nice.
He is our guy. Not because of what we've seen out there on the field, not because of what we believe this offense is, strictly because he showed up early to his press conference.
Oh.
So now that we have branded him as our official guy, that this is his show here on The Fanatic, we're not going to make a song about him. But I want to get your impressions of the offense and Kevin Patullo coming up. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils finish off the sweep. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. Yes, the Phillies swept the Mariners, winning the final game yesterday by a score of 11-2. Jesus Luzardo was on the mound, and he looked solid. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 12. It was the 3rd time all 3 games this series the starting pitcher for the Phils struck out double-digit batters. At the plate, the Phils were just as good. They put together another 20-plus hit game yesterday. It was the 2nd time this this series. Trey Turner came through with 5 more hits yesterday as he still leads the National League in hits. And Kyle Schwarber continues to make his case for MVP with 5 more RBI yesterday. The Phils have a day off today before beginning a weekend series against the Nationals tomorrow. Training camp is officially over for the Eagles, and we're now just exactly 2 weeks away from Week 1 against the Cowboys on September 4th. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the Jets. One guy that's not going to be out there on that field tomorrow night is A.J. Brown, and he's missed the last couple weeks of practice as well. But don't worry, Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said Brown's health should not be an issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, oh, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
O'clock hour here on WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. This is the midday show here on The Fanatic. And I want to point something out here that YouTube commenter, Fearless Dave, point out. Drastically underreported that Brendan Gunn has grown up and decided to do without this teenage backward hat.
Wow,
finally.
that is.
What's wrong with the backwards hat? First off, I like to wear my hat forward, but if you see this, if I wear it forward, the brim hits this. I got to wear it backwards.
No, I understand.
In here.
Wearing a hat in the producer's studio is a no-go because of the way the mic is set up. So So I absolutely understand with that. After a number of times hitting the brim of the hat on the mic, it'd be like,
it's infuriating. You can't talk. You got to turn it much louder. But I
feel like Kramer walking into a room because the mic would hit. Like,
Yeah, he's growing up, though. He's got the Eminem hair going.
have no doubt. The hat's coming back
oh,
once I feel better.
yeah.
It's keeping the heat in. I need the heat to go.
I see. Yes. Now, I mean, I didn't know what your hairline. I mean, I guess I knew what your hairline looked like, but this is like one of the first times I've seen your hair.
Hey, look, that's none of our
Goes way
business.
back.
Oh, listen, he's an engaged man. Someone finds him incredibly attractive and wants to spend the rest of their life with him.
Well, he's got a great personality.
That's what they say.
Yeah, man. Whatever.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, whatever.
Personality.
You're like, yeah, whatever.
All right, those are great personalities nowadays. Wow. All right. Moving on. Back to the Birds here. And we, of course, have our Eagles insider, Birds insider here, Andrew DeCecco. And I want to start with the biggest positive development, biggest surprise. Because I guess surprise can also go negative, but I have disappointment coming up. So your biggest surprise in a positive light.
I have
from
a few.
All right. Hit me with two of them.
Positive surprise, Darius Cooper, the rookie wide receiver out of Tarleton State. He was sort of buried and an afterthought when the Eagles announced their undrafted rookie free agent class. Every single day he made a play, and the moment was never too big for him. He definitely proved that he belonged, and it wasn't just the splash plays. He was consistent. And for an undrafted rookie, you see those every year. Every team has them. He can play, and I do believe that he's going to make this roster.
He's going to make the 53. If you had to look at that wide receiver room right now, who's in the 53?
I would say, obviously, AJ, Devontae, Jahan, John Mechie. We'll have to wait and see about Johnny Wilson, so I'm going to take him out of this equation for now. Anias Smith being the punt returner, and Darius Cooper, he's just shown too much. And if you already have the mindset that Jahan Dotson won't be an Eagle or potentially won't be an Eagle next year, well, Darius Cooper gives you some cost-effective depth that you can kind of develop this year.
Let's say Johnny Wilson's okay. What type of shuffling the deck could we be in
you
for there?
put
The
me on
wide
the
receiver.
spot.
Hey, you walked right into it. Listen, I set the trap, but you walked into it.
So this is the hard part, and this is a peek behind the curtain. All of us beat writers, we have to put our 53s together. We have
this is one of my favorite things.
We have a certain deadline, and I think it's 9 a.m. the day after the final preseason game. So I say
that's a late night.
knowing that I'm tipping my hand a little bit, but it's going to probably come down to Anias Smith or Darius Cooper. If you're counting Johnny Wilson in this equation, look, he's got the phone out trying to record me. Funny guy.
Say it to Burton.
But it's tough because Jahan Dotson can return punts, but Anias Smith has done it in preseason games, and he's usually among the first up to return punts. There's also Avery Williams, but I think Anias gives you a little bit more as a receiver. They just drafted him. They've invested a year. It comes down to which player do you think is going to clear waivers.
Mm-hmm. All right. Listen, I'm interested to see. I just sent Kemsky your entire breakdown of that position, so he now knows where you're going on the 53. All right, so in terms of surprise, big on Darius Cooper. Let's go to the other side of this. In terms of camp disappointment, you mentioned two things that you were looking forward to learning about by the end of camp that we did not learn about. We got information on, but we did not get a solution.
Right.
The biggest question remains the biggest questions for this group. Is that where you go in terms of the camp disappointment?
Disappointment for me would be Keely Ringo, because he had a golden opportunity to step up and seize the starting cornerback role opposite Quinyon Mitchell. He's been with the team for 3 years now, 2 years with this coaching staff. He works under perhaps one of the best coaches at his position in Christian Parker, who's really good at teaching the fundamentals and the whys and getting the most out of his talent. He hasn't done it for whatever reason. There's just something that's not clicking, because sometimes you'll see Keely Ringo be in position to make plays, but then there's other times where you see the mental lapses and the inability to stop and start or transition with the hips and locate the football. He just hasn't been consistent enough. And when you have a team that's given you such a vote of confidence going into the offseason, they did not bring back Isaiah Rodgers. For him to go out there and not really put his stamp on that position given the opportunity, I think that has to qualify as the top disappointment or biggest surprise in a negative way.
And you brought up a name right there in Isaiah Rodgers, and I heard you on Phil E's favorite show when you
Phil E,
mentioned...
he's a great guy.
Yes, great guy, wonderful dude. His favorite show, you mentioned that Rodgers, coming into the offseason, you thought that was one of the biggest questions of why they couldn't go out? Like, that might be one of the things that we end up regretting.
The biggest offseason loss. Like,
Right.
I think that they're going to feel that impact.
And right now, do you feel like, since we're going in to talk about third preseason game without really knowing that second quarterback spot, do you still feel that way?
I do, because Isaiah is a plug-and-play starter if he re-signs. And you know that he can fit into the system. He may have durability concerns, but he was a fit for the culture. He loved being in Philadelphia, and more importantly, you knew how he was going to fit into your system.
Right.
He can make plays on the football, and you don't have to devote resources to acquire a Jacorian Bennett, right? You're able to keep a Thomas Booker, and I understand we're talking about a fourth or fifth defensive tackle, but these are measures you don't have to take if you're able to re-sign someone like Isaiah Rodgers. But if you look at what the Eagles did all offseason, that would have went against their plan. It
Right.
was about building around their young nucleus, and they didn't retain any free agent except for Zach Bond. They let everybody walk. So it
And,
wasn't just Isaiah Rodgers.
With all due respect to Isaiah Rodgers, a little bit of different weight class there in the Zach Bond season last year and the Isaiah Rodgers.
No, but like they could have signed, Oren Burks to
Oh,
a
no,
cost-effective
I think they
deal,
could
and they opted not to. It was all part of their plan, the offseason of maintenance.
Hindsight being 2020, because you can't guess who you're going to be able to get at 30. You end up with Campbell. So, like, Oren Burks being back here, I'm not crying tears that he's not here right now.
Right.
With the way the offseason ended up playing out, if I could go back in time and be like, yo, Howie, listen, one contract I would love you to get done. Isaiah Rodgers would be the one you'd want to get done.
Sure.
So, now I want to take you to a man that is just our official guy. This is the Kevin Patullo show, okay? If you want to hear Sirianni, yeah, that's 2 o'clock, all right? But Patullo.
And you're not going to sing, are you?
No.
You're not going to do a song and a dance here?
Not yet. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's something about sitting in this studio during the middays time that makes you want to sing about Eagles coaches. I don't know what it is. So we could come up with a Patullo
I would rather
song.
you didn't.
I'm not
Don't
going
upset
to.
me. I'm in a
not
good mood
going
right
to.
now.
I'm not going to, okay? Patullo, though. 8 minutes early to his presser the other day. From that point on, I'm sold. I'm in, all right? If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're Nick Sirianni. That's how I always say it. So Kevin Patullo is officially our guy here. Nick Sirianni, after he showed up late to his presser yesterday, talked about Kevin Patullo. Here's what he had to say.
I think he's just so hungry for this job. As you would expect from Kevin, he puts everything he has into it, always here, working hard to do what he can do for our offense, put them in positions to succeed. He has great relationships with the players on this team, where he can have a lot of good communication and dialogue with them. I just think he's done a really good job. The operation seems, whether we're doing operations out at practice or whether we're doing them at games or whether we're doing them at a joint practice or whether we're doing at a practice in the stadium, that has been really good. And as expected, just because we've been together so long, of that communication of what's happening on different downs, different situations. And Kevin's done a really good job, and Parks has done a good job kind of taking Kevin's role to help Kevin out in that scenario. So yeah, I think he's done a really good job so far, and look for him to continue to do so.
If you could believe it, Sirianni is incredibly impressed by one of his assistant coaches. I mean, he's obviously going to shower him in praise. But from you, the impressions that you've gotten from Patullo through camp and through the first 2 times you've really seen him be able to go through a game day operation.
Yeah, organized, efficient. I like his process. The offense has largely flowed pretty cohesively. He's not someone who's typically animated, but I even saw on the final day of training camp, he was very animated in a positive way, because Jalen Hurts, in one of his best passes of the summer, he hit Jahan Dotson in the back of the end zone with Zach Bond trailing, and Kevin Patullo was noticeably excited about that. But I think I base it more off of the clean operation that you're seeing, because you really can't gauge much in training camp based off of what the offense is going to look like in the regular season. They're working on things. They're going to scrap things. They're trying to play the strengths of the players. This is where you really feel things out, what works, what doesn't, and they're not going to show everything in a public setting, certainly not in the preseason games, and then in the regular season where we're really going to learn more. But I'm expecting more of a West Coast-based offense where you're going to see it more timing-based and short to intermediate completions with the occasional deep shot worked in and a heavy dose of the running game.
I like the sound of that. He's our guy. So like we said, I don't know if you know this, but Brandon Gunn and I have decided, and I really decided for Brandon Gunn. He didn't really get a say in the matter, but I decided, since it was on the basis of the show, that if the offense gets out to a slow start, it's on the players. We've decided Patullo is just totally off the table because he showed up 8 minutes early to a presser.
You got to stick to that, man.
Yeah.
You got to be the KP show.
Yeah, this is the KP show, all right? I'm pretty sure, I would say Fangio's probably got the morning show.
You got to.
We know who afternoons has. So the Patullo's our guy.
That's a strong choice.
Yeah. Listen, we go a little bold here. You know, oh, yeah, defensive coordinator that led the whole NFL and, last year. Super Bowl winning coach. Oh, yeah, of course those two guys are going to be immune to criticism. KP, it's our guy.
That's your guy.
That's our guy. Coming up, if you want to get in on the conversation at 610-632-0975, ask football guy Andrew DeCecco what's on his mind as we get closer to the third preseason game. The only man in America excited about a third preseason game.
I can't wait for the first half. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm still broken from the second game.
Yeah, you'll be excited, I'm sure. Friday night, I'm thinking that we just might break down some preseason football.
I was told there would be no singing when I agreed to this.
Sorry, my bad. That's all me. Coming up, Adam Schefter named one NFC East team to regress in 2025. No, not your Eagles. But I want to know one team in the NFL that Andrew DeCecco is not buying in 2025. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
And
charmed life. You think that's not me saying thank you, Andrew DeCecco? I'm working on it. Yeah, tell me how to host a show over here. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn, hanging out with you here on Middays, and our good friends at Wild Fork, which I've learned. If you are friends with Ricky Batalico, you tend to eat pretty good. That's what I've gotten. People are always excited to see Ricky Bo. If you just kind of hang around Ricky Bo long enough,
It's true.
I mean, this looks fantastic. I'm just looking at what we got here. We got a little wing, got a little some meats. Yeah, this looks good.
Some meats.
Yeah,
You got brisket.
brisket. Yeah, so shout out to the people at Wild Fork. And I'm now starting. I can smell it, and I'm sitting right here. And
Well, we're going to do the right thing and not eat it yet.
no, I'm going to ask you a very long, drawn-out question, and you're going to cover the rest of the segment. Man's got to eat over here. I'm hungry.
That's laziness. Go ahead.
100% it is. I'm not running from it. All right. I want to get into what Adam Schefter had to say yesterday on Kincade and Salciunas because they went into the Commanders conversation. I think a lot of us around here have kind of bought into the idea, well, the Commanders are old. The sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels. Can they be what they were last year? Are they going to regress? And they kind of led Schefter into this questioning of, all right, the Commanders, can we expect them to be what they were last year? Here's what Adam Schefter had to say.
I don't feel the same way about them this year. Like, I'm not telling you they're, how do I say this the right way so it doesn't get taken out of context. I don't have the same great vibes about them that I did last year. I still think they'll be a good team. I still think they'll be a tough team. But last year, I think they had so many elements going in their direction. This year, just that Terry thing, I think that hangs over them. They're not going to surprise anybody. The schedule's tougher. I just think it's a bigger challenge for them. And last year, they exceeded expectations. And I'm not telling you they can't do that again this year. They certainly could because Jaden Daniels is that good. But I just don't feel that way going into this year about them.
First, your assessment of Schefter's assessment.
I don't know that they're going to have the season that they had last year, but I still think they can be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to take a dramatic step back. I'm also a big Jaden Daniels believer. I mean, I liked him coming out of college. He's completely reconfigured that offense. They've added, Laramie Tunsil. I question, Javon Kinlaw. They gave him way too much money for, relative to his production. But they've made notable additions, and they certainly have under new GM Adam Peters. So,
and then I want to take this a step further. Forget the Commanders. Okay, they're out of your mind. Now, 31 other teams. We'll take the Eagles out of this too. 30 teams across the National Football League. What is one team that you see people like, this group's got kind of a shot. Or this team might be pretty good. Because we're all not buying the Saints. That's a pretty easy one.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want. I'm not letting you off the hook here with
no, that's an easy one.
I don't think the Browns are going to make the playoffs. Come on. I want to know a team that you see people buying. You're like, all right.
Well, just yesterday,
you go ahead.
Yeah, just yesterday I was arguing with our guy Bill Colarulo. He likes the Vikings. He thinks the Vikings. He's a little bit. I don't know if he likes the Vikings, but he was being pretty strong in the sense that they're going to be a force. I don't see that.
I like O'Connell.
Yeah, well, I mean the quarterback. J.J. McCarthy's an unknown entity, and I think because of that, you can't be too bullish on them because you don't know what you're getting. It's an unknown variable. Obviously, there's playmakers there, but Jordan Addison is out of the equation right now. They're still looking for a veteran receiver. They've added some really good pieces defensively, including Isaiah Rodgers, and they're starting to retool that offensive line, but the quarterback play is where it starts, and I haven't seen enough to suggest that they're going to be a formidable force in the NFC.
I am right there with you in terms of the regression. And listen, I would never rip Bill, so I don't want this to come across.
You never have.
No, I don't want this to come across as taking a shot at Bill. But I saw last night, you mentioned.
You're not stupid.
That's right. I'm not stupid. And neither is he. Listen, I would never take a shot at Bill. I just want that to be on the record. But I saw yesterday, I saw him tweeting at you on the old Bird app. Look what Aaron Jones said. J.J. McCarthy reminds him of Aaron Rodgers.
You see my comment? I said, calm yourself.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. What am I? That opinion doesn't change my opinion.
Andrew DeCecco told me that I remind him of Rich Eisen. I don't know. Come on. What are we doing here? Of course, they're teammates. What is he going to say? You know what? J.J. McCarthy actually reminds me a lot of Matt Flynn. Of course he's going to say that the best quarterback he ever played with, he sees the qualities of J. McCarthy, which Matt Flynn's been out of the league so long he never played with Aaron Jones, but the point remains there.
There's a little bit of a bias there.
Right. He's saying that as a way to hype up a young guy that he's excited about. Like, good. That's Aaron Jones, good teammate on that one.
Yeah, good teammate, commendable. But that doesn't change my opinion.
No, and you haven't seen enough from him. Also, their schedule is tough. They won a ton of one-score games last year. There's plenty of just justifiable reasons outside the quarterback room to believe that they are going to regress. So I'm right there with you. So the Vikings, we're both not buying. You know what team I am buying in that division, though. You know.
Oh, the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get ready.
Ray Dunn, big Jordan
They're
Love
taking
guy.
the North, man.
You're a
taking
huge
the North.
Jordan Love guy. I
Just
know
you
that
wait.
about you.
Lions, no Ben Johnson. Vikings, J.J. McCarthy. Both those teams step back. Step forward. Jordan Love in the pack.
Interesting.
Taking the North.
Okay.
Just saying it right now. All right, coming up. What are you going to get?
I was going to say, what else besides Jordan Love do you really like about the Packers?
I think Matthew Golden for them is going to be like they had a young nucleus
Matthew
of
Golden.
receivers, but none of the last year I think they were all waiting for like, okay, that's our guy. They
Good
realized
vertical
quickly.
threat. That was a great pick by them.
They realized quickly, okay, we have talented young receivers. We don't have a one. They went out and they were like, all right, what we never did for Aaron Rodgers, we're going to do for Jordan Love. We're going to draft a receiver
Yeah.
and expect big things out of him. That to me is a difference maker for that group this season. Not to put too much on the rookie's plate to begin with, but I am. You got a quarterback with a big arm that wants to sling it. Go get
They
yourself
got
Matthew Golden.
Dobbs and Christian Watson.
Again, both fine receivers, but I don't think either one of them
No.
took
But they
that
have
step
they
forward.
have a good contingent
Yes.
of playmakers.
And they've
there.
been young. I mean, they have continuously been amongst the youngest team in the league. Like now, at some point, that experience is going to start to show up for these younger guys.
Yeah.
I like
Jaden Reed, who's kind of like a younger version of Randall Cobb, in my opinion.
Again, nice compliment. Now they got the one. I'm feeling good. Feeling good about them. All right, coming up, get back into what we got into earlier in the show with the Phillies. Get to the text line. And while we're talking about the Phillies, some guys are on really scorching stretches. What's sustainable? What can we count on the rest of the way? We talk so much about inconsistencies. Well, what can we count to be consistent?
Okay.
He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Another gem from the starter. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies swept the Mariners yesterday, winning the final game by a score of 11-2. Jesus Luzardo was on the mound, and he was solid. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 12. It was the third time in all 3 games this series the starting pitcher for the Phils struck out double-digit batters. At the plate, the Phils were just as good. They put together another 20-plus hit game for the second time this series. Trey Turner came through with 5 more hits yesterday as he still leads the National League in hits. And Kyle Schwarber continues to make his case for MVP. He had 5 more RBI yesterday as well. Phils have a day off today before beginning a weekend series against the Washington Nationals tomorrow. Training camp is officially over for the Eagles, and we're now officially 2 weeks away from the Eagles taking on the Cowboys September 4th for Week 1. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the New York Jets. One guy that's not going to be on the field tomorrow is A.J. Brown, as he's missed the last couple of weeks of practice. But don't worry, Adam Schefter from ESPN joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said Brown's health shouldn't concern you at all right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, oh, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and for UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Welcome back to the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Going to get back to the text board in a second here, chiming in on the Phillies conversation. I opened up show with the question, do you believe that the Zach Wheeler news and the situation now with the Phillies, obviously, I think assuming they're going to be without their ace through the remainder of this season?
It looks that way.
Is that something that for a team, once you kind of process, get through your concern, obviously, for the person in a very difficult situation, can you kind of take that as a rallying point as a group where you look around everyone that's still in that clubhouse and say, all right, let's go out there and do this thing, even if the best player part of this group is not here? And you can get on that 610-632-0975. So get back to the text line in a second here. I have a little off-base question for you here, Andrew. Because yesterday was National Radio Day. And we acknowledged it at about 1:52 in the show.
I didn't even know that it was. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. So that brings me to this question. Who decides on these things? And are they really, are we really celebrating something, or was it people in radio that came up with these national days so that we could fill time with content?
I think it's one random person on social media that says it's National Radio Day, and then it starts to pick up some steam.
Well, these things have been around, I think, before.
For real?
Social
I mean,
media.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm too young to know, but it's it's National Avocado Day.
It's it's National Andrew Day. Okay.
It's National Give Your Producer $500 Day, so pay up.
I'm still technically a producer, so you would be a host, therefore you owe both of us $500.
How about I give both of you wedgies and put you in your locker?
I've lost weight too. I'm going to fit one of those lockers.
Luckily, I have.
But I'm serious. Who comes up with these things? What purpose is that? Like National whatever day, like the old National Girlfriend Day. Like
Sure.
everybody oh, happy National. There's 6 of them. It's National July's version of this day.
Yeah, National Ice Cream Day.
National Ice Cream Day. That's
it's like
celebrated
June 4th. Okay, great. Sure.
June 4th, and then all of a sudden it's like September 15th, and it's also National Ice Cream Day. Who comes up with these things?
Yeah.
And why? Why do we need a national day for everything?
Yeah, I saw National Hoagie Day on a billboard was May 5th. I know why they came up with that, because probably everyone's going to a Mexican restaurant on that day, so they want people to come back and spend some money on the hoagies.
Smart. See? But that's marketing. Is this like...
But it's not a real holiday. It's not a real day.
Yeah.
It's just self-appointed.
Right. But is it national then? Like, how many of these days, we keep saying national this day, national... Why was yesterday National Radio Day? Who decides this?
Yeah, August 20th. I don't know. What's the
significance? These are the things that bother me.
This keeps me up at night, this kind of stuff. Along with, getting my 53-man roster projection.
Well, yeah, I'm driving home from the show yesterday, and I'm like, I wish everyone a happy National Radio Day. And it's like, do I even know it's National? Gabby told me it's National Radio Day, and I believe Gabby, one of the wonderful people that work here. But
why would you not? Yeah.
But but why? And I saw a YouTube chat. Somebody brought up Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day isn't, Hallmark Day. We need to get the sales of the flowers up. It's in February. We need to sell some cards here. We need the restaurants need people out and about. It's nice. Celebrate it. It's fine. But why do we keep putting these holidays together?
Yeah, there's a holiday on March 14th. Yeah, I mean, there's the steak and
Pie Day.
What's that?
Pie Day.
No.
3.14.
Yeah, well, maybe that is, but if you look it up, you'll see it later. But there's holidays for everything.
St. Patrick's Day,
sure,
real holiday. But these things, like the national days thing, they bother me. We should get rid of them.
I'm with you. Well, what can we do?
I don't know what we can do, but the idea that everything's a national day.
It's tiresome because every day is something.
Right. I don't want to celebrate something every day.
And you're not
That's not celebrating. That's just existing.
Sounds better than every day being nothing.
But it's like you're not going to acknowledge that today is, congratulate your fellow right-handed person. No, I don't know.
Actually, you know what? Today is a good day. It's National Hazy IPA Day. I'm actually in on that. So, actually, National Senior Citizens Day. I should have wished Andrew Salciunas a happy National Senior Citizens Day. All right, well, I'll send him a text. But yeah, I don't understand where these things come from. But Hazy IPA Day, I'll celebrate. So,
yeah,
looking forward to that. Happy National Hazy IPA Day. Look how fast I switched up on that.
You don't need a holiday to celebrate that,
Nope,
buddy.
that's what we call a Monday. All right, moving on here. Back to the Phillies conversation. We've talked about just how hot this team's gotten. I'm curious what's sustainable about this group the rest of the way, what you've seen that could be a sustainable performance. But first, I wanted to get back to the text line because I know people chiming in across the board a lot, unsurprisingly, with the Alvarado conversation in that 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we got David checking in saying we would have booed him if the team was 20 games under 500 when he came back, opposed to being 20 games above 500. I think the success goes into it.
See, I'd never, like, when they lost him, I believe my immediate takeaway was that it hampered their World Series chances. I could go back and look at, because, obviously with time, your perspective changes on things. I'm almost positive at that, like, this hampers their ability to win a World Series. I don't necessarily think I believed it hampered their opportunity to get to the postseason. So I expected them to be in a solid spot after the 80 games without him. They could tread water without him in the season. I never really thought there was a world where he came back, they were 20 games under 500, and he was the sole reason why they were 20 games under 500.
Right.
So I understand that maybe their success plays into it a bit. Like maybe if they were on a tough stretch and the bullpen hadn't looked good over the last week, maybe he would have gotten the booze. But I don't necessarily believe that that's a driving force of why he got cheered because of where they're at as a team. Like I think it's legitimately just the idea that the fan base wants to pick up someone and wants to look at them.
They want to support him, right.
Right. So I think that's more what it looks like to me. So I disagree with Texter on that one. What else you got?
We got Scott in South Jersey checking in saying, I think the cheers for Alvarado have more to do with the fact that he's a great reliever. If it was somebody like Tanner Banks or Joe Ross coming back from their first appearance from a PED suspension, we're booing them.
Time out. Folks, we have to have a clear line of demarcation here. Tanner Banks and Joe Ross should not be mentioned in the same sentence as one another, all right? Tanner Banks is part of the reason why you've been able to survive without Jose Alvarado.
Tanner Banks has done a great job.
Put some respect on the man's name. Don't put his name in the same sense as Joe Ross, all right?
Yeah, it's
Please.
laughable.
It's a disappointing text right there. Might have had a good point, but a disappointing text, okay? Point was well received. If it was Joe Ross, they got suspended. Also, if Joe Ross got suspended, it probably for him, in terms of having a job the rest of the way, what worked out. We're like, oh, he had tough start to the season. He was on steroids, come back.
Bummer. He's like, bummer. Sorry about that, guy.
Sorry about that guy, yeah. But yeah, he probably would have gotten booed. Especially, if it went poorly, I'm sure the Boo Birds would have been out. Like, if he gave up, 3 runs in that inning, people would have lost their mind. He didn't. So I'm not necessarily on board with that one.
Oh, all right, we got another one saying, we are Philly. We would rather support the bad guy, and people hate us for it. We thrive through the negative feedback from our opponents.
No one that's kind of what that text screams of. The no one likes us thing. I don't think that that's it. I don't think that we have a Jose Alvarado's the villain. And we want to support the villain. I just kind of saw it as
Yeah, I don't read too much into it other than they see somebody and they're trying to support him. He served his time and he's wearing a Phillies uniform. I didn't read anything into it other than that, personally.
And with the fact that, again, a lot of fans liked him before. And I think
he was very well liked.
This situation only kind of reaffirms the idea that we do pick our guys in this town. And once we get on one side with the guy, it's very hard to change the way people feel about it.
It's ride or die mentality.
Right. People liked Jose Alvarado. This happened to Jose Alvarado. They're like, you know what? For him, I can excuse it. For him, I could. This happened to Aaron Nola. I feel like there would be a very different story
because the lasting memory of Aaron Nola has not been very fun.
Well, yeah, over this past season, but just the way people feel about the guy. I feel like Alvarado did have a positive view. I don't know about that though, because I do remember the number of times I had to come on these airwaves and remind people that Jose Alvarado's walk rate was actually lower than Lidge's in the 08, since 2022. Alvarado's walk rate, or 2021, Alvarado's walk rate's been lower than Lidge was in 2008, but. Everyone's like, this guy just walks everyone. It's he's had a couple bad outings. You just
factually
it's
it's factually incorrect.
But all right, coming up, sustainability. Where is it? We've seen a very good Bryson Stott. Max Kepler. That guy's done something right for us here? Trey Turner is having literally one of the best stretches that you've seen. Over the last week, over the last 7 games, 21 hits. Technically 20 with an error mixed in there, but for the purposes of the stat I'm going to give you on the other side, 21 hits. What is sustainable here for for this group? What can we expect the rest of the way to catch fire and keep going for this Phillies team? He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. We got to come back. We got to do the show, all right? Mike Vito, God. You didn't realize what we're doing. He sets the schedule here. He knows that we're supposed to be on the air.
I just want to be successful, man.
I just want you to know we're supposed to be talking right now on the air, Mike.
We're just trying to be successful.
Trying to do our best. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. All right, now, see, now, I'm getting pulled out. All right. Brendan Gunn producing the show here. We talked earlier in the show. We're going to get to the Phillies question of sustainability coming up about the Stateside Live, which I am tremendously excited about. The rebrand of Xfinity Live to Stateside Live. I just like the place, and I like Stateside. So when two things you like come together, you're a big fan. I can't wait to see the expansion. Look at the pictures. Look great. Jeff McDev at Jeff McDev on Twitter posted a Sixers Surfside City Edition jersey. I understand everyone's excited about the black uniforms coming back this year from the 01 team.
I am.
Tell me that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd rock that.
I want the 01 jersey.
Yo, the 01 jerseys are happening this year. I'm saying in the future. You gotta do a city
What do you
edition.
like about that?
Look, it looks like a Surfside. It's a cool look.
It looks gimmicky to me.
Oh, no. All right. I'll send this to Brendan Gunn. We'll get his
I'm sure he'll love it, too.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll love it.
Both of you guys will like it, and I'm the one who doesn't.
That's fine. Listen, we're
But
debating
I
the things
think-
that matter here.
I think that would be a horrible
Insightful
idea.
conversation.
It's smart, intelligent.
Yeah. I would, down the line, I like the look of it.
See, I would buy that.
Yep.
I would buy that. You don't like that?
I knew you would like it. I don't know. I took a quick glance at it. It didn't catch my eye.
He would wear that to the Ocean Drive in a second.
I would
Brendan
wear
Gunn
that.
With a backwards hat,
Yeah,
you know he
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Sunglasses
Toss
on.
that on.
Little Sunday fun day.
Yeah.
No shower
boys.
happy hour.
would. I
The
know
boys
I know
getting
where you're
together.
going with that. Yeah,
Listen,
backwards hat on.
It's
yeah.
better than the new Philadelphia Boathouse Row ones. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really care for them either.
Yeah, no, certainly better. And I'm making fun of you when I would absolutely rock that to Keenan's. And I'm just picking a different town
I was
to do
like,
that.
hold on a second. You would do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Just in the worst short town.
Dude, stop it. Don't even start.
Just yeah,
Don't even
just in a
start
lesser
with it.
short town.
Stop it. Stop it. Where's your family from? Where's the boardwalk? All right. Anyways, move on. Get back to the Phillies. What's sustainable about what they've been doing? So we've seen now Stott really pick it up, and he seems to think he made adjustment. Great story today in The Athletic from Matt Gelb about what they were working on mechanically for Stott, and it's turned into some just wonderful early returns, really, since he became a father, which is just like the ironic timing of the whole thing, where like they're working on things, and you start to see just that work pay off. Turner. The approach was something we talked about early in the season about how they didn't want him to slug. They just kind of wanted him to work getting himself on base. He's somewhere in the 350s right now on base percentage, leading the way in hits across all of Major League Baseball. And he's got 21 hits in his last 7 games, which is absurd. I mean, that's literally, the 3 hits a game average is insane. But the last time that a Philly did that was 95 years ago, I believe was what the story was. I think it was, I'm going to, if I remember this correctly, Lefty O'Doul. I want to make sure that I get this one right, though, because this is right up my wheelhouse. But yeah, Lefty O'Doul had 21 hits in a 7-game span during the 1930 season. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're comparing him to, Lefty O'Doul. And anytime you end up in a conversation with Lefty O'Doul, you've done something right. I actually don't know it to be the case. I only know this stat of him.
Yeah, this is the first I've ever heard of him. Yeah.
What? You never heard of Lefty O'Doul?
I can't say that. 1930s?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You haven't combed your way through the Phillies' all-time home run list, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's done well. Stott's done well. We know JT's been on a heater. He's got the best batting average in the National League since June 9th. Max Kepler starting to hit the ball hard, starting to see some results. Obviously, the home run yesterday. Everyone's kind of clicking right now, which is what happens when you score 11 runs Sunday, followed up with a dozen Monday night. You had 11 yesterday. 6-run, like we're talking about the 6-run game being like, okay, maybe you could have done a little bit more on Tuesday night. Like that's how good things have been for them over the last couple of games. It's not going to go this good all the time. We know that. We've watched it with this team. What player flashing right now do you think has the sustainability to remain hot through the rest of the way?
Trey Turner. I think Trey's been pretty consistent all season. Mm-hmm. That's something that you believe it when you see it. I have questions about Kepler. I have questions about Bryson Stott. But I do think that platoon with Sosa and Stott is a good solution. But now you potentially have 4 platoons, right? You're looking at right field as well.
So
they're doing all this with sitting down Nick Castellanos, so it's an interesting conundrum.
And this sustainability conversation leads into the platooning. This, to me, is proof that it's working. Because Stott, in his overexposure to right-handed pitching, has found the solution. He has found what he needs. You look at what Sosa does against left-handed pitching, that's working. Kepler is getting an opportunity, is having his playing time certainly mitigated. You know, he's having it taken away slightly from what he was the rest of the season because you have Bader now, because you can roll out this Marsh, Bader, Castellanos outfield, and you still feel good about having Bader out there instead of the Kepler, Marsh, Castellanos outfield. But Kepler also getting his opportunities in right field and taking Castellanos out of the lineup against right-handed pitching where he struggled for quite a few months. To me, this is proof that this is working. And I don't see it so much as 4 platoons, as one outfield. They're just rotating cast of characters, trying to get everyone there at bats. Because is it technically like the platoons are so unique at this point where you'd say, well, is it Castellanos Kepler? Well, not necessarily, because sometimes Kepler's in left, Marsh moves to center, and Bader's out of the game. So then is it like a Kepler, Bader platoon plus? Like, it's basically Kepler's going to play twice a week. Castellanos is going to play 5 times a week. Bader's going to play probably 4 times a week. Marsh is going to play 3-4 times a week. Like, they're kind of just piecemealing, and Weston Wilson will get his 1 game a week in there too. Like, it's not so much a platoon as much as they're rotating through guys to kind of piecemeal what works. But I think you're seeing the ultimate goal be realized of what they're trying to do. Platooning at second base, I think, is working with the offensive output, and I think the guys are getting exposed against the pitching that they're going to maximize their offensive abilities against. And in the outfield, you're starting to see that work for them as well. So the sustainability conversation, I think if they keep going this way with Stott and Sosa, I think what Stott's doing, do I think he's going to hit 333 for the rest of the season?
No,
probably not. But he's been a 280 hitter in this league before, and he's hitting the ball much harder than he has. Like, could he be a 280 guy the rest of the way, playing in a platoon role? Yeah, I think he could. I think that is like
270, 275.
Right. Yeah, I think that is a level of sustainability that they could have. JT, is he going to hit 320 the rest of the way he has since the beginning of June? Maybe not. But I think he has shown you, certainly, that he has found, I keep saying the fountain of youth. I don't know where it is in Philadelphia. I don't know where he went. I'm trying to get answers on that one. I was told that I look like I was at Temple last night for a wonderful event they put on, the Claire Smith Sports Media Center for Sports Media. Dave Dombrowski spoke, Jimmy Rollins, Doug Glanville. They did a nice panel on basically the All-Star game coming here and how it can benefit the community of Philadelphia and looking at kind of the impact that baseball can have on a greater scale outside the game. Wonderful event. Loved everyone there. Some of them was like, yeah, wow, you look like, you've grown up since I've been here 3 years ago. Like, I don't think I've gotten that old, but I need to find that fountain of youth JT Realmuto's talking about.
Well, yeah, you're not going to find it at 6.
I know. All right, man, relax. I haven't been there in like 2 months.
Right.
With JT, though, I think he's found a little bit of that as well. Like, the sustainability conversation for me, it goes back to the comment we got from Bill Willard earlier in the week. I don't think scoring 12 runs a game is on the table for you. But, like, the adjustments I've seen at the plate and the way right now they're working through maximizing everybody's ability offensively, you didn't go out and get the star at the deadline for that offense. But right now, you're utilizing your offensive talent to its maximum capabilities based on what you have and based on what you're going up against.
As a collective, they're getting more of a contributions as a collective. And I thought earlier in the season, Ray, they were overly reliant on the Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner. Bryce Harper, earlier in the season, wasn't even hitting his stride. So now you're getting more from the whole lineup.
Yeah, that having the length of the lineup there is the big thing for him. And I understand Bohm had the nice start to coming back and hasn't looked as great the last couple of games, even while everyone else had. But not having an automatic out at third base also helps.
Yes.
And like that's with all due respect to Edmundo Sosa and Otto Kemp, who were filling in for him there at third base. But
they did yeoman's work, filling in when necessary.
They did work.
They tried.
They showed up.
They tried.
Yeah, they were there at third base.
It was patchwork.
Yeah, I think that helps. So I think there's a level of it's obviously not going to go this good all the time, but I think some of the adjustments you've seen can catch. When we come back, catching up on what's going on the text line, plus at noon, you're going to stick around for this, all right? We needed a football guy, Andrew DeCecco, in for NFL Notes at noon.
I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere yet.
Brendan Gunn's going to battle through NFL Notes at noon, all right? You're going to battle through. He's also a football guy. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils finish off the Mariners. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. Yes, the Phillies swept the Mariners yesterday, winning the final game by a score of 11-2. Jesus Luzardo was on the mound, and he was solid. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, and struck out 12. It was the 3rd time in all 3 games the starting pitcher against the Mariners for the Phils struck out double-digit batters. At the plate, the Phils were just as good. They put together another 20-plus hit game for the 2nd time this series. Trey Turner came through with 5 more hits as he continues to lead the National League in hits. And Kyle Schwarber continues to make his case for MVP as he had 5 more RBI yesterday. The Phils have a day off today, and then they begin a weekend series against the Nationals tomorrow. Training camp is officially over for the Birds, and we're now just 2 weeks away from Week 1, September 4th, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the New York Jets. One guy you shouldn't expect to see out there, as he wouldn't have been out there anyway, but he's missed the past couple of weeks of practice, is A.J. Brown with the hamstring injury. injury. Don't worry, though. Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said Brown's health should not be a concern.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, oh, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with nationwide LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and for UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. I'm Brennan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic.
To the midday show, closing in on the noon hour here. You're tuned in to WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn. Brendan Gunn's producing the show. Coming up in a few minutes, we got the NFL notes at noon. And I'm very excited because last night, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I've got the Shefty notice on. And I mentioned I was at the event at Temple, and I was just enjoying the panels, talking about everything going on with the city, with the All-Star game coming, what Major League Baseball is doing for 2026. And my phone's going crazy. Schefter broke like 6 trades in a matter of what, like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all the 49ers' desperation right now to try and have anyone that could catch a pass.
Hail Mary, yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, their injury luck over the last 2 years, like, you would think that someone within that training staff is going to lose their job, right?
When you see something with this high of frequency, something has to happen.
Right. Okay. So he won't say it because you want to be kind and he wants to get the full story before he says anything. From my perspective,
you know me.
Somebody probably loses their job over. Like, at some point, that many people go down consecutively. You're sitting there like, what aren't they doing? Or, I don't know. Like, you start to one of those bad juju things. What karma wise.
And when you add players this late, I mean, the learning curve is so steep that it won't be until mid-season that you're going to be able to get an output from those acquisitions.
And luckily, they paid one of the elite quarterbacks in the National Football League all that money that he can carry them to where they need to go.
Mr. Purdy.
Oh, well, that's a shame. I don't know. I still have a little bothered by the 49ers.
Yeah,
I still got a little hatred in my heart. Yeah, I still got a little hatred in my heart for him. I didn't like the year-long loser tour. I understand we won a Super Bowl. They didn't win a Super Bowl. I should be able to move on from it. The year-long we lost the NFC Championship game tour was a little much for me in the media from them. So
I didn't like how they tried to bully James Bradbury. I thought that was kind of lame.
Yeah, no, so just bothered me a little bit. So it's a real shame. It is. I wish the best for all of them health-wise. I wish the absolute best for Brock Purdy and trying to show that he's worth the money that they paid him, even though he's not. So that's just my take on that.
Yeah, I don't know that he's somebody who's going to elevate an offense.
No, I don't think so either. Here. Now, Andrew, real quick, while we're talking football, we're about to talk about the NFL notes at noon. You got something exciting going on Saturday. I'm excited for this.
I do. You're going to be tuning in? Because it's going to be from 12 to 3 on Saturday. Me and Tim McManus, ESPN.com, my guy, fellow Eagles beat reporter, we're going to be doing a 3-hour Eagles turntable show. And really just talking about everything that we've learned from training camp. Go over our 53s. Different things that we were surprised about. And then, of course, looking towards week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys and some of the matchups to keep an eye on. I really can't wait for it. It's going to be comprehensive analysis. I welcome you to call in, text in, and we will make sure that we get to them.
I'm very excited for it. Get down AC. Now, I was down AC about a month ago. Connor and I had the Phillies trade deadline roundtable, lead in with Tommy Green. I'm curious, when you get down there, are you going to be you're down AC? Does Andrew DeCecco hit the table?
Well, you got to remember, I'll be getting there probably about 1 a.m. because I'm driving from East Rutherford after the preseason game to AC. But that still won't preclude me from going out there and taking a stroll. I'll check out the ambiance. I'll walk around a little bit. I like to be amongst people.
All right.
And who knows? Who knows?
I'm just asking. Get out there and maybe.
I don't like to show my cards.
Well, you shouldn't. Okay. Very good advice for you at the table. Don't show your cards.
But yeah, I mean, in general, in life, I don't like to show my cards.
Never let them know your next move. I'm smart. Wise guy over here.
You can learn something. I'm trying to pass that wisdom down to you.
I appreciate that. A lot of wisdom needs to be passed down to me. I need that. But yeah, this weekend, the Birds Roundtable live broadcast Saturday, noon to 3, down there, Caesar Sportsbook in Atlantic City. Andrew DeCecco, Tim McManus, 2 of my favorite people to talk Eagles football with.
Hey, thanks, man.
And,
appreciate that.
Yeah, make sure you go check out events at 975 The Fanatic for all the info, because should be a good one. And I think we're going to be able to hear it again twice this weekend. Go see it live on Saturday. Hear it again. Replay the broadcast on Sunday.
Are you coming out?
I can't. I work Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm helping out down at Chester. The Union have Chicago Fire. I'm working in the booth, helping out. They need some in-booth producing help. Do they know a producer?
One day I'm going to say, I knew you went.
I'll be when I'm sitting at an event and I get the notifications that Andrew DeCecco is breaking 6 NFL trades in a row. That'll be. I was like, yeah, wow, I'm still sitting at another event here, and of course, there he is out there. Big national insider Andrew DeCecco. I'll be able to say I knew you when. One guy that we all are going to be able to say we knew when is Brandon Gunn, who's got the NFL notes at noon. Hit the music.
Yes, so we're going around the NFL. We're going to start with something that may impact the Eagles as they see this team early in the season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have activated Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs off the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, though there's no timetable for when they're actually going to return, but they're going to start the season on the 53-man roster. Do we see them week 4 at this point with this news?
You would have a better feel on the pulse for this. Godwin, Wirfs being activated. Andrew DeCecco, do you believe that those two would be available for the Buccaneers in week 4 against the Birds?
Yeah, right now I would say yes, just because it's so far out and a lot can happen between now and then.
Right. It's also last night as I got that one, or was it this morning, last night, whatever it was that it came across. I had a fantasy draft last night, and I was like, Godwin, do I just, one of those draft and stash scenarios? Do I bother with it?
I like Egbuka a lot for that offense, especially in PPR.
Right. So I was like, is his role going to be the same? Starting to think it through. Thought too much about it. Didn't take him. Saw the news after the draft that he was activated, and I've spent all day kind of upset, to be honest with you.
Well, you should be.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. But
well, I'm not going to go that far.
As far as the Eagles terms of that whole thing, yeah, I think we should expect to see in week 4. And that week 4 matchup becomes more difficult because, the Buccaneers
it sure does.
Just seem to have this team.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough game. Actually, I think more people should be talking about the Bucs in the NFC.
I like that. We'll get back to that. Put a pin in that.
All right, moving on to Kansas City. There's something that happened there last year, but it's just reported on now. It's kind of scary, actually. Last year, Andy Reid was in his office studying some tape alone, and a bullet came through the window, penetrated the window. Luckily, obviously, Andy's still with us. Nobody was hurt, but how scary of a situation is that?
And apparently, he is now working behind bulletproof windows. I believe if I read the rest of that story, they now have bulletproof windows where he's working, and they put up more fencing along the facility. Terrifying.
That is.
Horrifying. Like, very scary situation there. And just, what are we doing?
That's horrendous.
I don't know. And there's so much that we could take this in a conversation much down the line with this, but just terrifying. Glad he's okay. Glad that the Chiefs now have taken the precautions to secure their facility. One of those things that I guess as an organization you don't think about until something like this happens, but just very, very scary. Glad Andy Reid's all right.
Yeah, something like that's a call to action. Yeah, thank God he's all right.
And I'm just, I'm surprised that it didn't get out till now. I mean, this is, 14 months later? This was before the 2024 season.
Probably didn't want to derail their season, I guess, last year, but I don't think that's derailing anything.
Right.
That's just trying to be safe.
I don't even know how you address that to the team, and I don't know how many people inside even those 4 walls knew about it, but grateful that Andy Reid is okay. Scary situation. Just people.
It's very unsettling when you get infiltrated like that. Like, that's your team headquarters.
Yeah. It's just very unsettling just to, just think about the nature of people and someone that would go about doing that. It's just...
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Staying in Kansas City and going out to San Francisco, as you guys just talked about. Yesterday, San Fran, their wide receiver, Demarcus Robinson, suspended 3 games. So in the wake of that, they made a move for Kansas City wide receiver Sky Moore. We all know how easy the 49ers schedule is. But with the lack of weapons, there's people talking about them as a contender for the postseason. With the lack of weapons, should we start to rethink that a little bit?
They are a contender to get to the postseason. I look at their division, and I say, all right, Matt Stafford, the back. How much can I trust that a 37-year-old with back issues is just going to be able to let that go away through an entire season? This is from someone that's seen the Rams as one of the biggest contenders in the NFC. If he's able to...
I'm a big Matthew Stafford guy.
As am I. If they're able to right that situation, then, all right, the Rams go back to being one of my favorites in this conference. The fact that every day they were like, he's going to be out there. He's going to be out there. And every day everyone's like, I don't see him. He's not at practice. He wasn't practicing. And then the tone kind of shifted from if it was a game week, he'd be playing to, we're just trying to take this one day at a time thing. I don't like that from the Rams' perspective. So that's a team out there that I can kind of be concerned about. The pew-pew, explosive. Jonathan Gannon and his Cardinals team, maybe they could sneak their way into the conversation with things, but I'm not really a huge believer in Kyler. And
No.
And that kind of derails that team for me. And honestly, not a huge believer in Gannon, but
I like, Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan, who they drafted, a defensive tackle. They have some good pieces there defensively. I'm just not a believer in Kyler Murray.
And then for the third team in that division, outside of the 49ers, the Seahawks, I've seen them. They've become kind of trendy. I feel like I've seen some people around the league being like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I think the Seahawks got it this year. All right, if you want to buy into that team, there's a reason why the 49ers could be a trendy pick to have a double-digit win season. Their schedule stinks. You want to believe that they are going to get some positive regression in the injury world, even though they haven't. But given the weapons they have would have to have wholesale health by the end of this season for me to be like, yeah, that team's going to make some noise in the postseason. And as much as I don't love the NFC quarterback picture as it compares to the AFC quarterback picture, is Purdy top 5 amongst NFC quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think you have to put him maybe 5.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Off the top
Hurts,
of my head.
Daniels, Stafford, Goff.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, all right, well, hate to see it.
Sorry, looks like you're 6.
I hate to see it.
There's only limited teams. Moving on, one more story. The Jets. They held a secret practice on Sunday. It leaked out yesterday. No media there, no assistant coaches, just head coach Aaron Glenn and the players. Some of the players didn't even know what to make of it. They said they've never been a part of anything like that before. Some players said, no, it wasn't a practice, it was a walkthrough. But there was a bit of contention about it with the media when they leaked it because they didn't know what to make of it themselves. Secret practice. What do you make of that?
I don't know. You're usually invited to those things. What do you feel about a secret practice?
A secret practice? You have to do like a secret knock? I don't know. It's just, I don't really know what to make of it.
Assistant coaches weren't invited? Who does this guy think he is? Who does Aaron Glenn think he is?
That won't go over well.
What a dumb idea. Oh, the media wasn't there. Oh, the assistant coaches weren't there. To hell with the media, sure. Leave us out in the parking lot. Obviously, it's better for your job if you have access to the practice, but I understand closing a practice to the media. But not having the assistant coaches, who does Aaron Glenn think he is? He's got, 90-something guys?
I'll take full ownership of everything. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, you got all these players. He's like, oh, yeah. I'm going to have control of this whole thing. Players not knowing what it is, that just seems dumb.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Jets. Jets.
What could go wrong?
Jets. Oh, what idiots.
All right, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to it.
I'll be here tomorrow, too.
Yeah, you will be here tomorrow. We're going to beg you, one more segment, all right?
Yeah.
One more segment.
I'll
just
hang.
because CBS Sports put together a projection of each NFL's team's first loss. When each team will lose their unbeaten season. The Eagles one kind of makes sense, but it's early on in the season. The rest of them, I got a couple of questions for just how you feel about some teams across the National Football League. He's Andrew DeCecco. I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fill it up.
I'm just enjoying today and tomorrow. Who knows the next time we're going to talk to each other on the air. I guess post-game. We'll talk post-game.
Yeah,
we'll always have that.
Yeah, but I enjoy the face-to-face interaction.
I appreciate that. I shaved today. I know. I want to put together my best foot forward when you showed up.
Listen, we're going to get something on the books here, all right?
Also, Billy C. The guy.
He tried to intimidate you in here. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, could I hear just Billy C? I haven't heard his voice on the air in a little bit. I just want to make sure that I just want people to know who I'm talking about here. Because he's looking.
You're not stupid.
That guy.
You're not stupid.
That guy. Yeah, him. He came in here all like, woo, woo, and like upset. Kevin Patullo's our guy. We were talking about yesterday. Oh, please. When was that Patullo presser? Was it yesterday?
It was 2 days ago.
It was. Okay. So we were first here. So you back off. You already got your coach that says nothing in press conferences to sign up for. Okay? You signed up for Sirianni. I got Patullo. All right? He's our guy on this show. So back off. Also, I got DeCecco here today. So I get it. You're jealous. Back off. All right? Go prepare your show. He's here late, by the way. It's 12 o'clock hour. He's here late.
Whoa.
He's starting to get like his man Nick Sirianni.
What, did he sleep in?
Yeah. 12 o'clock hour here is brought to you by Service First HVAC, offering 0% financing for 48 months, rebates and tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right. So CBS Sports put together. I love the YouTube chat. It sounded just like I like the Bill C impression. No,
Wait, you did an impression of him?
Just a.
Wait, do it again. Does he do that?
So when he comes in here, all guns ablazing, that's what I hear.
Yeah, but
that's all.
He didn't say that.
It's basically that's pretty much what I'm getting. All right. CBS Sports put together this just to run through everyone's schedule of like when each team's going to lose the first, basically when we're going to get the Dolphins to pop the champagne. Which as the schedule continues to get longer, the tradition of popping the champagne starts to get a little bit lamer. It's just tougher to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Just pop champagne for the fact that you guys had a good time. Like, just get together on the date where you guys won the Super Bowl.
Every year.
Yeah.
If you're willing, if you're able.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they went through this, and they obviously went through each week. So after the first week of the season, only going to be 16 unbeaten teams. Fair. That's how that works. Unless maybe there's a tie, in which case there would be more than that unbeaten team. But they're not projecting a tie. They have the Eagles losing week 2 to the Chiefs, which I think is fair. I mean, to me, that's pretty fair. The Chiefs, the revenge factor, the whole thing.
They might be up for that one.
When we did W's and L's months ago, I had them losing to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't do W's and L's, but I could see why you would feel that they could drop that game.
Revenge factor.
Yeah.
Chiefs is a good team. Eagles, after they lost Super Bowl to the Chiefs, what did they do the next year? Went to Arrowhead, they won. Like, I just kind of I could see that one happen. So I wasn't too upset with them having the Eagles losing in week 2. What I was more intrigued about was where they saw the rest of the league going. Some of the teams they had start unbeaten for considerable stretches.
Okay.
So they had 5 teams unbeaten after week 4. 3 of those teams lose in week 5. So the teams that start 4-0, the 49ers, the Bengals, and the Texans. The 49ers are an interesting story because we keep talking about how battered they are and how just, again, they're suffering more injury, bad luck, whatever you want to call it with them. They do have such a soft schedule that you could see them be the team that puts up 12 wins. And
Easily.
they just put up 12 wins because their schedule stinks. So they make sense of the 4-0. The Bengals, I watched that defense in that first preseason game. I don't want to make too much of a first preseason game. When you play 9 of your starters on the defensive side of the ball.
There was at least 7 out there.
Right. And Tanner McKee dices you up like that? What should I realistically expect from that team? I love watching Joe Burrow play football.
Yeah, actually, I like the Bengals in general, offensively at least.
Right.
Defensively, they leave a lot to be desired. I don't think that's going to be a team that makes much headway this year.
Yeah, so, okay. But they haven't started 4-0, which is fine. I guess good for them in that one.
I mean, the offense is going to have to put up 35 points every week.
They could. Texans starting 4-0. Are we in a buyback? Like, is this a buyback year for everyone
CJ
that got off the bandwagon for Stroud? Is it now like buy low because Stroud showed you so much year one, people jumped off bandwagon year two, that year
it was
three?
the cool thing to do. Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans, I think you were a fan of.
Oh yeah,
D'Amico. I was going to say you were a fan of D'Amico Ryans as the head coach.
I like his leadership, and I was also a big CJ Stroud guy going into that draft. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. I've never wavered. He had a down year last year, but I think that they will rebound.
This article has the Steelers starting starting 5-0.
How?
They just have them starting 5-0.
No rationale, or
after getting off to a surprising 5-0 start in Pittsburgh, Rodgers finally suffers his first loss with the Steelers during this Thursday night game in Cincinnati. Over the past 6 years, AFC North teams are 3-13 when forced to play a primetime game on the road against another team in the division. That ugly trend will continue. So they don't give you a reason why they start 5-0. They only give you a reason why they're going to lose that 6th game.
Yeah, see, I think that's going to be a disaster with Aaron Rodgers there in Pittsburgh because Mike Tomlin is an authoritative coach. He commands a lot of respect, and rightfully so. He's accomplished a lot in the league. He's not going to be putting up with what Aaron Rodgers has done in his career. That's just the facts of the matter. They start to lose a game or two, or he has an entitlement about him. Yeah, Mike Tomlin's not going to go for that, and that could start to fracture. I don't think they're going to get off to a fast start.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, they play the Jets, the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Vikings, and the Browns in the first 5 games.
All right,
so that's probably why, but I don't see that happening.
Maybe, yeah. That just assumes a lot of where Aaron Rodgers is at, and I don't assume a lot from him anymore.
Yeah, he was great in his prime, and he had a long career, but I mean he's been on the decline. And you couple that with the dynamics that he brings from a personality standpoint and how that may rub a lot of people the wrong way. And Mike Tomlin, who has handled the likes of Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, all kinds of players, yeah, he's not going to go for that.
And they have the Bills starting 7-0 and then losing to the Chiefs. I'm curious for you. The Checkadamas. AFC this year. Mm-hmm. It's always Chiefs versus the field. Is this the year we finally go to the field?
Yes, I do.
Bills?
That's where I was going.
That's where I wanted to end this conversation with you. I just wanted to know who the Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl. That's all I want to know. All right?
I think the Bills are going to be the AFC representative. If, all things being equal.
Obviously. Listen, I'm only going to pull this audio and use it for the rest of the year.
That's what you do. You're an opportunist.
That's what I am. I had to ask the tough question before you got out of here. DeCecco, always a pleasure.
Appreciate it, man. We got 3 hours together tomorrow.
I was going to say, so what we do, actually tomorrow you do have the heart out because you got to get to MetLife. You got to do your job. I can't really hey, man, we got one more segment. We're talking football. Stick around. I kind of dangled it the way they're dangling the Wild Fork out there in front of a lot of people. They're like, come into the kitchen, hang out with us.
Yeah, hang out with us.
That food was so good.
It was very good.
So good.
Shout out to Wild Fork and Ricky Bo.
And shout out to you, Andrew DeCecco, for a fun 2+ hours of radio. Coming up, Brandon Gunn and I are going nowhere. All right? B-Gun, welcome to the conversation.
What's up, Ray Dunny?
We got some Philly stuff we want to break down.
Looks like I'm leaving on a high note here.
Yeah, we got some Philly stuff I want to break down. Look at this rotation for the postseason. That's coming up next. He's Brandon Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn. Thank you, Andrew DeCecco. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A day off for the Phils. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. The Phils are fresh off a series where they saw all 3 starting pitchers strike out double-digit batters against the Mariners, and they saw the bats come alive for 2 20-plus hit games against the Mariners as well. But today they have a day off. They begin a series against the Washington Nationals tomorrow. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound for that one. First pitch is tomorrow night at 6:45. The Phils wake up today with their biggest lead in the National League East this season, 6.5 games up over the New York Mets. Training camp is officially over for the Eagles, and we're now just 2 weeks away from Week 1 when the Birds take on the Cowboys September 4th. The final preseason game, though, that goes down tomorrow night against the Jets. One guy you shouldn't expect to see on the field for that one is A.J. Brown because he's missed the last couple of weeks of practice, but fear not. Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said, no, you shouldn't be that concerned about A.J. Brown's health.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was also brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Midday show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. He's Brendan Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn. We thank Andrew DeCecco for graciously spending 2+ hours of his time after he spent 2 hours with the morning show. So he worked more than anyone today here will. He went over the 4 hours.
It's not true.
Are you hanging around?
I got to do Philly sports tonight in Birds.
Oh, dude, you're.
Now, he does work hard. I'm not taking anything away from him.
No, I get it. Yeah. Listen, I'm Brendan Gunn. I gotta let everyone know how hard I work. Yeah, I remember the doubles days back in the day, back when it was funny. I think Kevin was on when he was on with us Monday. He was talking about how he was coming back and he was doing Philly Sports Tonight, Birds Insider that night. And he was asking for recommendations of like what to do in the 4 hours. And I was like, well, back I used to do Tuesdays where I produce middays and then do the evening show. So I would go to Maniac Brewing Company. I was like, what I can tell you is that they're not open Mondays because of the same exact situation. Like when you start to know the hours around here of places that you like, that's when you know, like that's when you've done the double, like probably once.
Yeah, wherever you can go to kill time and
Right.
what's open and what's not.
Yeah, like once you start to have like, oh yeah, this place, I know this place's schedule on this given day. It's like, yeah, I've done that shift one
too many times.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I would go Tuesdays. I would sit down there. They got good flatbreads. They do like a good happy hour deal there. It'd be great. Type away at I can do work pretty much anywhere. Like if you give me a Wi-Fi signal and a laptop, I'm able to drown out. Like you could probably drop me at like a club at night, and like if you gave me
that.
a Wi-Fi signal and a laptop, I could just type away. Now, chance I could get distracted a little bit, but I'm usually able to get my work done.
It's hard for me to even get work done at work around here because we got a bunch of goofballs around here.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get something done sometimes.
And also, the time slot that you've been in for so long up there, like doing morning show, that 8:30 to 9:30 time frame where like we're coming in for middays.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the office people are coming in and they like to come in through that door and
Say
then work
what's
their way
up.
around. That's usually your most high stakes time, whether it be press conferences, guests,
Cutting stuff up.
That becomes a very high traffic time with people, but also a high workload time for you. So I could see how that would become very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's just throwing balls around too sometimes.
Yeah, people have some fun. You know, like I've always said that where I do the prep work for the midday show is very like if I don't get here and get the work done, I'm in dire straits at like 9:30 because it just becomes a place where people stop
and they want to talk.
Yeah.
So it's the water cooler, like literally.
It literally is.
Literally
a water
is.
cooler. And it's I invite conversation, but sometimes like if I get away from it kind of thing. Like, yo, if I don't cut this audio right now, it's never getting cut. Okay? Or if I don't, go down with some of these numbers, like we're not gonna get these, we're not gonna be ready to go. And speaking of which, you can jump in with us. The earlier Phillies conversation about the Phillies kind of using the news they got over the weekend with Zach Wheeler and how can it serve as a rallying point for a team to get such devastating news. Obviously, glad that he got the procedure done. Seems like they'll be able to thin out that blood clot, and there's no timetable for a return. But for the person, happy that he's on the mend, he's on the road to recovery. But can you use that type of news and losing that type of just valuable player as a rallying point for you moving forward? That was a conversation kind of opening up the show. You can get in on that 610-632-0975. But one of the conversations following Zach Wheeler was about this rotation and where it went from here and what your postseason rotation looks like. Because you come in on Monday like Christopher Sanchez was the 2 and we were trying to figure out the 3. Sanchez is now the 1. And beyond that, what are you looking at for number 2? What are you looking at for number 3? Nola has a tough start Sunday. You're like, oh, Nola felt like someone you were going to slot in there. Suarez has had the tough stretch, but are they going to have to slot him in there? Like all those question marks with Zach Wheeler following, obviously, or question marks with the rotation following the news with Zach Wheeler, all were there. Everyone that pitched this week gave you the sense of semblance from Monday to Wednesday that they could be a part of some sort of postseason rotation. Ranger Suarez looked good Monday night. Tuesday night, you get Christopher Sanchez. You know he's going to be part of your postseason rotation. Jesus Luzardo, all of a sudden, is talking his way back into that postseason rotation conversation. And here's the question for you, because we've flirted with this idea over his last couple of starts because he's been good. 1, can you go with 3 lefties in a postseason rotation? And 2, if you cannot, can you justify Luzardo being the lefty over Suarez, given the way the second half of the season's gone? We'll answer those in a second, but just to line up why I feel a lot better about Luzardo right now. Last 5 starts, 2.32 ERA. The strikeout rate per 9 innings is close to 10 strikeouts. But those two things, put them aside. What have we been most concerned about? Him pitching from the stretch, him pitching with runners on. In the last 5 starts for him, a 161 batting average with 235 on base, 290 slugging percentage with runners on. The 10 starts before that, with runners on, batters were hitting 418, 516 on base percentage, a 747 slug with runners on against Jesus Luzardo. It's a stark difference. The ERA, I believe those 10 games was like a 20-something with runners on, and the ERA over the last 5 is somewhere in the 4s. I mean, that's just a massive, massive departure. He feels like he's figured out what he needed to do mechanically, post obviously tipping his pitches. The adjustments they made, of course, those really inflated numbers include when they thought he was tipping his pitches. But he thinks he's made that adjustment. The last 5 starts would suggest he's made that adjustment. And if you have a guy with his just speed on the velocity on his fastball and the stuff that he has, all of a sudden, we were trying to shorten him down to that 1-inning role. If he's going to be able to work through multiple innings and work through having runners on base, can he work his way back into this postseason rotation conversation? Brendan Gunn, can he do it?
I think if he continues to keep it up like this, I don't see why not. The biggest fear was that pitching out of the stretch, as you brought up, and you just laid out some numbers that tell you it's getting better as the months progress, as we get down to the final stretch where you have to make this decision. I guess the ultimate wild card in all of this is, what the hell is Aaron going to be? Like, if Aaron is not going to rebound from what he did in the first half of the season before he got hurt and all that, and then what he did on Sunday, if he's not going to be any better than that, you're going to have to go into it with 3 lefties anyway, regardless, because you can't trust that guy. As of right now, if you have to make the decision between Ranger and Luzardo, if you're going that way, maybe 2-3 more starts out of Luzardo like this, and Ranger would have to decline from what we just saw the past day against the Mariners. If he gets back to that 5 innings, velocity down, not locating the pitches, maybe Ranger is that guy that comes out of the bullpen as a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, and Luzardo is your other lefty starter. But I need to see more out of Luzardo before I get there.
Yeah, Luzardo, to me, I need to see both Nola and Suarez talk their way out of places. Because I still would put the 2 of them, just because, again, it gives you something different as a left-handed arm out of the pen than what you have in your 2 left-handed arms right now. He's continuing to make the case. If every 5 days I come on this radio station and say, well, I guess we got to consider the possibility of him being in the postseason rotation, he's clearly talking his way back into that conversation. I just don't think I can do it yet, because what I have in the bullpen is 2 lefties that are very similar. Adding him adds the dimension of a guy with high velocity with just a different look for hitters just late in the game. And that is still the argument against having him in the postseason rotation. Suarez, if he goes back to what he's been in the second half, that opens the door for it. Nola, if he doesn't give you what you want him to be, because I can't say you expect him to be, because no one has that expectation for him right now. What you want him to become, where you want him to go with this, then he gets his way back into it. But I see a world where we're talking about 3 left-handed starters. Maybe I'm discounting Taijuan Walker too much. But I do see a world where you're lining up 3 lefties. Is it the best thing for you? Probably not. You would like to have a little different dynamic back and forth every single day, but how much should I really care about that if those are your 3 best chances? It's not the rotation I expect, but it's a rotation I could see us talking about come September. Now, speaking of the rotation, let's go to the bullpen. I yesterday decided I was going to get a little chesty about a certain reliever. He then decided to put my belief to the test. But I think it proves just how good this bullpen is and just how good a situation this bullpen is in. He's Brendan Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Eagles cornerback Jalen Hurts.
You get out a sense of where you are. I think that's what put my focus on.
Want to get your feelings on the postseason rotation. Could it be all lefties? Would you be comfortable with an all left-handed postseason rotation from Phillies going Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo at 610-632-0975? I'm Ray Dunn, hanging out with you here on the Midday Show. I want to talk about the bullpen in just a second, but something hit my inbox that might be of interest to people. On Saturday, November 15th, Xfinity Mobile Arena hosting the Basketball on Broad Autumn Invitational. Doubleheader of games down there in South Philly. LaSalle and Penn State, Drexel and Syracuse. So, chance for a lot of the Penn State folks to get a chance to see their team in the city. Excited to see what LaSalle and Drexel got, a couple of Big Five schools, and of course Syracuse coming down here. I looked at my calendar to see how it lines up. I won't be able to go, but I'm excited for other people with the opportunity.
Out of town?
I will be in town, and I also looked to make sure that this was out before I said where I was going to be. Temple's hosting Boston College.
That's a big game there.
Yes. Temple on their website doesn't yet have it there, but I saw it on Boston Colleges, and I saw a couple of the sites that cover Temple.
So it is, in fact, out there.
It is out there. So I know where I will be. I will be on Broad Street, just the north side of Broad Street for college hoops that day. Not there, down there in South Philly, but that's
Sneak it up.
It's getting close. I mean, we got college football starting. We obviously got the NFL starting. So I think, Red October still on the back burner for people. I know when you were here when we got the postseason schedule for baseball, and I was just overjoyed that the World Series Game 7 was a Saturday, the Saturday before college basketball started. So my life doesn't entirely change. Yeah. From tonight's the first broadcast I have on my schedule for the fall. I'm going up to Mama tonight doing a soccer game there. From tonight until St. Patrick's Day, if you're in my life,
busy.
I love you. I appreciate you. We will all reconvene at a St. Patrick's Day bar crawl. That's the way this goes for the next 7 months. This is officially the end for me.
Summer's out.
Summer's out. I told you. Summer's out once the coaches' calls start. Summer's ended. But cool to see some college basketball hit the. I know for the two of us, that's something that we both look forward to.
It's awesome. Might try to get down there for that. You can't, but.
Yeah, I can't. But yeah, maybe some people out there. I would advise you to come up to North Broad, but some of you go wherever you want to go. All right. Yesterday, I started to get a little fired up over the fact that David Robertson's been what he was for the first 4 appearances for him, with the Phillies. 4 scoreless appearances, and it was, hey, look at my guy. Look what I told you. I was saying this is not a disaster. Everybody was freaking out about what he was, what he could be. Now, he decides to, try and tempt belief a little bit. Not that I would waver, but some of you out there, probably were watching and were like, oh, wow. I remember Ray told me all about. He gave up a home run to Suarez. All right, who hasn't this year when it comes down to it? He got Garver. He gets 2 outs, walks a guy, and you got to go to the bullpen. So, all right. Not his best outing. Did finally give up a run in a Phillies uniform for the 3rd time. But what I think about this bullpen and why I say it's actually a good bullpen now, I think was evidenced in that. Robertson was able to get the 2 outs. He does give up the run. Team starts to walk the tightrope a little bit, and you got to go get someone out of the pen, and you're able to go to Banks, and Banks is able to get you out of that inning. And I think that's an example. It's a small example of this because ultimately the Phillies end up just blowing the game wide open. And it doesn't matter by the end of this. But it's a small example of the fact that you need 6 outs. And we're talking about a postseason scenario where you're going to play sometimes back-to-back days, but you also have the weird NLDS where like the NL wildcard series, one of the reasons you want to avoid it because you don't want to play 3 straight days and you don't want to have to worry about who's going to be available here, who's going to be available there. There's a 3 straight days pitching. Back-to-back days, you don't like the tax relievers like that, but in the postseason you will. 3 straight days, you start to get worried about the usage. So if you avoid the wildcard series, NLDS, game 1, day off, game 2. Day off, 3-4, day off, game. So you're already building in some rest in there. So in those types of scenarios, you're not looking at a lot of back-to-backs. You are just trying to piece together 6 outs. And between Robertson, Banks, Kirkering, and Strahm, I need to get 6 outs. I believe in those 4 guys to be able to combine for 6 outs if they get you through 6 innings. Now, if they get you through 5, I still believe in those 4 to get you 9 outs, but it does start to introduce a little bit of the variable of where I could get see people get concerned. But they only get through 5 innings. Probably a question of what the starter did and where they're at in the game anyways. If a starter puts together, let's just call the baseline a quality start. 6 innings, 3 runs. I could expect that out of Sanchez. I think whoever ends up emerging as the second starter the rest of the way, unless they don't have anyone emerge, you probably can expect that from them, and then you'll see where it goes with that. Because our conversation about Thompson over the last couple weeks have been what he's done in the 7th inning. And that's been, I think, when you get to the postseason, it'll be 6 innings, smell you, appreciate you doing it. Like, you're off. Now, that's why I feel pretty confident in this bullpen at this point, because I only have to fill those 6 outs. And I thought yesterday was a prime example of that with the fact that Robertson, he only got 2 outs, but he made the 2 outs. Banks comes in, closes it down. And in any other scenario where they don't score a lot of runs, I need Strom and Kerkering, one of the 2 of them, to get me through that 8th. And then 9th inning, I'm going to Duran.
Now, what happens if 8th inning comes up? You got the Dodgers, top of the order. Ohtani, are you bringing in Duran for a 6-out save?
I think in that scenario, they're probably going to go Strom.
Right? Yeah,
right?
I mean, he's had his number.
He's had success against Ohtani. They might go Kerkering because they might want to believe that,
Game 7.
Now, because Freddie Freeman is going to be in the 3 hole right there. I imagine they're going to go Strom. Like, I think they go Strom to try and deal with the top of that order. Now, I see what you're saying, and I do think there is a world in which the Phillies exist where it might not even be a 6-out save, where we get to the end of the postseason, and they're like, you know what, our life's on the line. I'd like to go down here with our best pitcher.
Best arm.
And then it's about getting 3 outs between Strom and Kerkering after Duran closes it down if they don't want to bring him back into the game. They don't want to do the whole up-down thing. But that, again, in that scenario where they go in the 8th inning and they bring in Duran, as much as we'll debate whether or not, a closer has to be a closer and you need to make sure that he pitches the 9th inning, you're still getting 3 outs in the 7th and 3 outs in the 9th, and you're just piecemealing those 6 outs. I thought yesterday was a nice example of why I think this is a good bullpen now.
Do you worry about teams, if it goes deep into a series, seeing the same bullpen arm, seeing David Robertson 3-4 times? Like, does that worry you?
I'm going to see their bullpen guys 3 or 4 times, too.
That's true. That's
true. You got to do your job offensively.
But is it different when it's the Padres and their arms are a little bit better out of the pen?
Like whatever YouTuber keeps commenting, doesn't matter. I think it's Mike is the guy's name. It doesn't matter about Duran being good in the 9th. You got to score enough runs to get there. Same thing applies to seeing the other bullpen arms. Phillies will see those same bullpen arms. You got to be able to hit them. I think this is a good bullpen. There are going to be good bullpens you go against. Are they the best bullpen in the league? No. But you're going to have to be able to deal with seeing guys multiple times. And I think that would be big for this team going forward. At 1 o'clock, we're going to find out how Brendan Gunn wants to upset me today. It's the Gun at 1. We will catch up on the text line. Get back to some of the Eagles conversation we were having earlier. Some of the takeaways from what Andrew DeCecco had to say. A busy 1 o'clock hour coming your way. I'm Ray Dunn. He's Brandon Gunn. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A day off for the Phils. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phils are fresh off a series where they saw all 3 starting pitchers strike out double-digit batters, and they saw the bats come alive with 2 20-plus hit games against the Seattle Mariners. But today they have a day off. They begin a weekend series against the Washington Nationals tomorrow. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound for that one. First pitch is tomorrow night at 6:45. The Phils wake up today with their biggest lead in the National League East this season at 6.5 games up over the New York Mets. Training camp is officially over for the Eagles, and we're now just 2 weeks away from Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys on September 4th. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the New York Jets. One guy that's not going to be on the field and has not been on the field the past couple of weeks of practice is A.J. Brown. Fear not. Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said that injury is nothing to be concerned about quite yet right now with A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
This update was brought to you by Mattress Firm. Need better sleep? Upgrade to a premium bed now and get the rest you deserve at Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. They make sleep easy. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Closing in on the 1 o'clock hour here. You're tuned in to WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. And YouTube chat was worried. I guess, I don't know. I don't want to talk about our guy Brandon back there and, the way he does his job, but I will for a second here. I guess maybe he got us back from break a little bit late, coming into the 12 o'clock hour when I read the legal. And at noon, panic in the YouTube chat. He hasn't read out the call letters. They're going to get kicked off the air. Don't worry, guys. I got you. We're all good. All right? We're reading out just at the beginning now. Everything's going to be okay. We do have some news, though, from the world of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, we do.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Per Jeff McClain and others, wide receiver Johnny Wilson is set to undergo season-ending surgery on his knee and ankle after the injury he suffered at Tuesday's practice.
That's a shame. He was having a really good camp. Obviously, the first preseason game flashed, being able to make that big catch kind of over the corner, where he was able to come down with it. And you know just how impressed they were with him all camp long. We did have fun at kind of the expense of the guys talking about Johnny Wilson, because they spent so much time talking about Johnny Wilson in the last week, where Sirianni was talking about him, where you had Kevin Patullo talking about Jalen Hurts. But there's a reason why. They really liked what he brought, the dynamic he brought for them, being a bigger wide receiver. I always thought, hey, that's a potential red zone target for you, just with his height, if he's able to get a little bit of separation. Obviously, with the way that he blocks for this team, being so run first, they appreciated that. So to not have him is a shame for this team. Now it also leads into the conversation about where this goes for the wide receiver room going forward as we get closer to roster cut-down days. Given what Andrew DeCecco said earlier, and it was funny, when DeCecco said that he wasn't factoring Johnny Wilson into his 53, I was like, all right, so he was there for it. Obviously, the cart came out. You start to think maybe it was that, like, the level of seriousness to it likely ends up being that he's going to miss substantial time. Season ending is just a shame, and you feel for the guy and you feel for him, and wish the best for his recovery. But when you look at how it impacts the wide receiver room, John Mechie is now here. Darius Cooper has had the preseason that he's had, and Anais Smith figures in as the punt returner. I think that's your 6. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, John Mechie, Darius Cooper, and Anais Smith. I think that's your 6, and I think that's, you kind of set it, forget it there.
You'd think so. That's the way it's going to go. It sounds like DeCecco's in line with that line of thought as well. But who's going to be that wide receiver that blocks? Like, who's going to be that guy that fills in for Johnny Wilson? Like, can Darius Cooper do that? When you're the last wide receiver on the roster, you probably have to make your name somewhere else a little bit, as a gunner maybe. Somehow, some way, you got to show you can play special teams. Anais Smith is obviously that guy that's going to go out there and be the returner at this point. A.J. Brown can block, but he's also wide receiver 1. Like, who's going to step up? Do they keep now 3 tight ends on this roster instead? Like, where do they make up for that in the run game?
I think they are going to keep... I want to go back to the third quarterback conversation, because I'm interested to see what happens with McCord, whether or not he's a roster guy or a practice squad guy. That is an interesting dynamic for me, if they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I think they'll keep 3 tight ends at this point. Calcaterra, and I think Granson's the one that they've really liked throughout camp. But it's just different. Like Cooper and Anais Smith, Mechie, and you're not bringing the same. You're bringing the same skill set. You're not really replicating Johnny Wilson's skill set with what you have on the roster right now, which is what you get into. And I saw immediately one of the takeaways from the YouTube chat is, where's the big target here? I mean, A.J. Brown still serves as a big target for you. Dallas Goedert still serves as a big target for you. But I did like the idea of, hey, at some point, like Johnny Wilson, are you going to be able to use him as a red zone threat? Is he that comfortable? They talked about him a ton for a reason. He was the something different that they had on this offense before, obviously, adding John Mechie. And they've talked a lot about Dotson's growth in that wide receiver room, but it is disappointing that you're not going to see come to fruition what was a... I don't want to call him a camp darling because he's been here a year. Someone I think they saw growth from, someone they saw a chance to have an impact on this roster. So it's unfortunate, the reality there for Johnny Wilson and for this team.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting it together. Like, we saw it in the preseason game, the game one, where he was going up, getting the ball, using his body to his advantage. And then we saw it all camp long. As you said, we played it in jest, but Nick Sirianni talked about him. Jalen Hurts went out of his way to talk about him like a handful of times. And you don't get that out of Jalen Hurts that often. Kevin Patullo did. Like, Johnny Wilson was a guy that was maybe going to have a solid year for what you asked of him this season, and now it's been taken away, unfortunately.
Yeah, so unfortunate that news comes down. So Johnny Wilson, again, according to Jeff McClain, will miss this season with a season-ending injury that he sustained in practice on Tuesday. It is 1 o'clock on this program, and I actually was in a meeting with management yesterday. They begged me. They were like, "Listen, Ray, like that you can't keep letting him get away with this. We are terrified every time he pops open the mic at 1 o'clock when you put just this segment in his hands. Don't let Brendan Gunn continue to do this. Don't let him continue." They were like, we need you to take control of your own show. And I said, listen, it's grown into something just bigger than the rest of us. It's a segment that's sweeping the nation. The people are dying for it. I'm getting texts. Ray, it's 101. Why haven't you shut up and just let us get to the gun at 1? Here is.
And you know
Brendan
why
Gunn
you had my
1.
back? Because
You're not stupid.
That's
exactly.
right.
It's time to bring this to the surface once and for all to defend my name, because I've been, slandered a lot around here. Brendan Gunn went to this school, but he likes this other school.
Oh, yeah.
No one's ever heard my side of this. I grew up a Villanova fan. I grew up a Notre Dame fan. All of a sudden, I have to take the train up to Temple to do my night classes while working a full-time job with my lunch pail every single day. And now I got to change my allegiances? John Kincade, love him. Lived in Atlanta for 20-plus years. Did sports talk radio in Atlanta. Did he have to change his allegiances? No, he didn't. I go to a couple of night classes 2, 3, 4 times a week for 2 years. And all of a sudden, I got to be go Owls, fight, fight, fight for the cherry and the white. All I hear all the time is that your school's where your heart is. Because you go up, you grow up there, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't live at Temple. I didn't make my friends at Temple. By the time I went to Temple, I was a 23-year-old man. 23, had the world figured out. I wasn't some 18-year-old kid. And what I did have figured out is who I'm going to be a fan of. And people like to say, oh, you're a bandwagoner. I liked them way before they became good in 05, 06, that kind of range. I was going to the Pavilion back in the 90s. Ricky Wright, Michael Bradley. I didn't join when Scotty Reynolds was getting them to the Final Four. And I'm never changing my allegiances. I appreciate the piece of paper I got from Temple. Probably wouldn't be here without it. But they asked, would you rather have your degree or be a fan of the Cats? Cats win, Cats win, Cats win. Have at it.
I mean, geez, talk about finding a dead horse to go after here. Jeez Louise. What do you expect from me on this one? To just, you're absolved this whole thing? You know what I grew up a fan of?
The Hawk.
Yeah. I was a big St. Joseph fan when I was growing up. I was a big fan of SJU. I went up 2014, 2016 to the Barclays Center. I watched them beat VCU, get themselves the automatic bid out of the A-10. I celebrated. I think we still have confetti from what hit the floor there at that A-10 championship game up there in Brooklyn. I loved SJU. I love the Hawks. You know, the Hawk will never die. The whole thing. Wonderful. I still go every year, once a year. I go with my uncle, my cousins, my dad, my brother, my grandfather. We made it a tradition. Every single year, we go to one SJU game. I haven't changed that.
And you're still sitting there going, yes, go Hawk, go.
I'm still sitting there
back,
excited about basketball.
In the back of your mind, you're rooting for the Hawk.
Well, yeah, for my brother, obviously. Like, I'm going to watch them against an A-10 school. Like, oh, Duquesne's in town? Yeah, all right. Well, yeah. Davidson's in town? Sure. Like, George Washington? All right. Like, what allegiance do I have to that team versus the Hawk? Of course I want to see them succeed. Like, I'm good for you type thing.
No, deep down, you're that meme with the guy crying in the background with the happy face over top. Every time you got to root for Temple because you're a St. Joe's Hawk fan at heart, and that'll never change.
That has changed. You should see the way my brother and I, the back and forth, the vitriol we have for one another when St. Joe's and Temple play one another. is bad. We go 364 days a year. Pretty clear. Like, we used to, obviously, as kids, get into a lot of arguments because we're brothers. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Now, we've grown up. 364 days a year, we're very close.
So what made you switch your allegiances?
I went to Temple. That's where my heart is.
What was it about Temple that got your heart there?
What would I have without my Temple education?
Was it the classroom?
What would I have without
being
my
locked
Temple
in those
education?
confined walls?
What would I have? If I went to St. Joe's, I never would have got connected in a mentorship program with Andrew Salciunas.
Probably right.
Yeah. Temple gave me so much. I think the least I could do is support its athletics. Especially now with all the work I do with them. You think at this point I'm so deep into the Temple thing that I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, well, I remember I have fond memories of everything that happened with the Hawks. I took Fran Dunphy's class when he was a professor at Temple.
Yes.
I told him straight to his face when his team beat St. Joe's in the A-10 title, he made a young me cry. I told him right to his face. I was like, Fran, and he still remembers this. When I see him around, we can laugh about it. I love Fran Dunphy, but when I took his class, I said it right to his face. I was like, hey, man, listen, I covered you last year here when I was a student here at Temple, and you made me cry. Like that, when I was young, you broke me. But I had moved on from all that because I went to the institution
for
and
4 years, and you made your lifelong friends, and you made all these connections. I went there, and I worked hard to finish there. Didn't leave. Mm-hmm. I was older. I didn't get to live there. All
right. Listen, you're never really going to be able to get me to come to your side on this one. You know that. But you have now made your emotional plea to people where you just talk about how amazing childhood was. Sometimes you grow up and you learn the ways of the world, and things are
never
better.
Growing up. Peter Pan, baby.
We know that. So you made your emotional plea. Are you more sympathetic to Brendan Gunn's fan allegiances?
You should be.
Nova, honestly, of this whole thing, Nova I could understand more than the Notre Dame thing. Nova, you at least are within geographic range.
Yeah, people say it's not a Philly school. Fine, it's a Delco school at that point.
And you're a Delco guy.
I'm from.
Yeah, you're a Delco guy. I can understand geographic thing. The Notre Dame thing won't make sense.
Irish and Catholic, and that makes perfect sense.
What am I?
Irish and Catholic, I'm guessing.
Yeah. My brother, another thing I don't get about him, big Notre Dame guy. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
See, I always knew he was a good guy.
He's getting a lot of play right now. He's going to get an ego about him. 9-5 right now. He's probably in some big banking meeting, and so what are they talking about me on the radio for? I heard your emotional plea. I'm curious. 610-632-0975. You've listened to Brendan Gunn make these pleas for understanding, for people to understand his fandom. Do you sympathize with a guy like Brendan Gunn, who roots against his alma mater in basketball and roots for Notre Dame in football? Are you more sympathetic to his fandom? So you can chime in, 610-632-0975. Until he cries on the air, I'm not going to be at all empathetic to what he's got going on. Coming up, we'll get back to the Phillies, back to our conversations today. We talked about misery yesterday as it relates to the Cowboys. Another team right now that's miserable. It's one of our rivals. How much joy are you taking in? I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Working our way through the 1 o'clock hour here on the Midday Show. I'm Ray Dunn. Brendan Gunn producing the show. Shout out to Andrew DeCecco for joining us throughout the show today. We got more news. I'm sorry. There's one thing that I really love, and I would love to get feedback on this. 610-632-0975. Well, on the text line or YouTube chat if you want to tweet at me at RayDunn975, because I'm a nerd for this stuff, and I know some things that I nerd out about that other people were just like, all right, I don't care. Like, move on from these things. The Major League Baseball rights deal is tremendously fascinating to me. Like, where everything's going to end up, how NBC is trying to control Sunday night because they've got Sunday night basketball back. They want Sunday night baseball. Obviously, we know they got Sunday night football. Very excited. We have it confirmed, right? Carrie Underwood is doing another year of the Sunday night football theme. I saw that news come across.
I did not see.
I wanted to ensure that that's the case. So, because that's like a big benchmark of the.
Did you know they take one day in like August or whenever to film them all? Like,
I believe it.
When she records all of her takes for the individual game.
She's a busy woman.
I guess.
A lot going on.
Like, imagine somebody goes down. Like, I don't want to put anybody's name in. It's like, okay, we got to remix this real quick.
Are you at this point going to base your song around Christian McCaffrey? Like, at this point, sometimes you got to know.
No, but you look around that 49ers offense.
Brock Purdy, man. Brock Purdy. That's what you got to base it
Gets
around.
the people going.
Yeah, maybe just Shanahan. He's the coach. I don't know. I'm sure if they need to pick up the phone, like, hey, we need you to quick re-record this one. Like, also, if they flex a game in there, she's got to re-record too, right?
What if she's got bronchitis that week? You're in trouble.
You could be in trouble. You absolutely could be in trouble. So I love following the just rights deals for leagues because it impacts the financials of the leagues. It also impacts the broadcasters you're seeing on the games and ultimately where we're watching them. So this MLB thing is fascinating to me. ESPN apparently is going to be the home for the for MLB.TV as they get deeper into this. So MLB and ESPN have an agreement for the network to sell all out-of-market and some in-market games. So there's teams without regional sports networks, which we don't have to worry about here, are going to be somehow a part of the ESPN family and then structured out that way. And then MLB.TV, which I'm a big proponent of, I'm a big fan of. If you know, I'm a fanny for West Coast baseball if the Phillies get done. That apparently, they're all trying to take you to ESPN's new digital wing and like what they're doing, the direct digital platform instead of, obviously everything they've done through cable. So this is tremendously interesting to me and what it means for access, and also the fact they're not going to have Sunday Night Baseball, but a different night of the week, they're going to have a national game, which would be exclusive to ESPN. And if they're investing in baseball, part of what interests me about this is now what their investment around it will look like. We mentioned yesterday Baseball Tonight. Could that come back? That'd be huge nostalgia for me. And also, who's going to be... They have Passan, who does a tremendous job covering the sport. Buster Olney, we've had on these airwaves a number of times, does a tremendous job covering the sport.
Carl Ravitch, who usually heads it all.
Carl Ravitch usually does, play-by-play for a lot of things. But I'm curious who's going to be, the studio, where that plays. If they're going to increase this, what does the roster look like? Is it going to just be passing from his living room and, the screen with a host? Because they do a lot of Sports Center hits with that, but I'm curious to see what roster they can build out here talent-wise to make it work. TBS, our guy Jimmy Rollins,
A-Rod, Big Poppy.
Yeah, they've got it. Well, that's Fox.
Am I switching it up? Am I getting them confused?
I think you're switching it up there. I'm pretty sure they're Fox.
Okay.
They're Jeter and that whole crew.
I get them confused.
Because they got Burkhart. Burkhart
yes.
that crew over on Fox. And Lefko's got Pedro Martinez, Jimmy Rollins, right over my head. But regardless, I'm curious to see if they start to build out a roster there of players, ex-players, and try and build that system out.
I would like to see that. I mean, we grew up on that.
I'd like to say, it's not just because he was speaking last night at Temple, and I appreciate him, but we've had Doug Glanville on before. He does,
and he was on back in the day,
radio games, and I think he would be a great addition to that. I know he's got 1,000 things going on. He's got his own Substack. He's a Starkville podcast, all those things, but he'd be a good addition to that. So I'm curious for people. If I'm breaking this down, I'm curious if people actually care about this type of stuff. Because I know I do, and I think it's one of those sports media nerd things about me that I care about these things. But if people are like, all right, Ray, I don't care about... I just want to know where I watch the games, I would love to know, because I know I tend to drop into these diatribes. And if you don't care, I don't want to put you through it. I'll just keep my thoughts to myself and the other sports media nerds I know.
Do you think it goes back to the main platform at all, or do you think it's always going to be on the streaming kind of side of things?
I mean, they're still going to have the national game on the network once a week. So I would imagine during maybe a less busy time. Like, I'm trying to block out their afternoon programming in my head where they go from McAfee. You've got your NFL Live. You've got your NBA Today. Like, I don't know where it would fit necessarily in their whole thing. Maybe an ESPN2 situation where they could go to it. But if they're going to, like, they seemed like they wanted to get out of the baseball market there for a little bit. And now that the two sides have mended, and I think ESPN this year realized, oh, man, Sunday Night Baseball is doing well. Like, baseball's having a little bit of a renaissance here. And Major League Baseball also realized, like, of all the partners, the one that probably is the best brand recognition for them, ESPN is there. Could they use that? I
think you can look at it as like a case study with the NHL. They brought that back semi-recently. Who do they have on for that? Is it players? Is it just media people? Every time I see it, it looks like Butcher Gross. It looks like Steve Levy. So I don't know if they necessarily have the guys. I think PK Subban's on the other station. Like, what does ESPN do for hockey that they just brought that back? I think that could be a case study for what they do with baseball.
Yeah, and I think it's important they keep a lot like this stuff on television for a generation that still is very much on television. Like, that national weekday game is important. And I want to clear this up because I see Colby saying it. The only in-market that they're actually going to control are the 5 without regional sports networks. So that we are fine here. Nothing's going to change with that. Day in and day out, you're still getting NBC Sports Philadelphia. This is just for the ones that the regional sports networks have gone out and they need them to cover with. So don't worry, Colby. You're still good. You're still good. Coming up, we talked about misery yesterday when it comes to the Cowboys. The Phillies, not so quietly, have a 6.5 game lead in the division. That lead right now is larger than the best team in the sports lead in their division. Have we missed an opportunity to take joy in the Mets' misery? Or have we hesitated to do so because of our own feelings and own insecurities about this team? I'm curious if that's at all at play here. We'll break that down coming up. He's Brendan Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Done for the season, unfortunately. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. About 20 minutes or so ago, Jeff McLean reports that Johnny Wilson, wide receiver for the Eagles, is going to have season-ending surgery on his knee and ankle after getting hurt Tuesday. That's unfortunate news for a young wide receiver, second-year wide receiver that was having a good camp from all reports. But camp is now officially over for the Birds, 2 weeks away from the opening game against the Cowboys on September 4th. The final preseason game goes down tomorrow night against the New York Jets. One guy you won't see on that field because he hasn't practiced in weeks is A.J. Brown. Don't worry, though. Adam Schefter joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday and said that injury is nothing to worry about at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I saw John's comment on Sunday after the trade, and I asked around to a few different people, like, oh, could this trade be related to A.J. Brown's hamstring? And I was assured it had nothing to do with that.
The Phils are fresh off a series where they saw all 3 starting pitchers strike out double-digit batters and saw the bats come alive for 2 20-plus hit games against the Seattle Mariners. But today they have a day off. They begin a weekend series against the Washington Nationals tomorrow. Taijuan Walker's on the mound. First pitch is tomorrow night at 6:45. This update was brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
TheFanatic.com.
Welcome back into the Midday Show. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up at 2 o'clock, Unfiltered. Just saw Ricky Bo walking in. He honestly thinks he's coming in from the bullpen every time he's walking around here. Like, he has a little, pep in his step. He kind of, surveys, and then he's getting ready to tell you whatever he needs to tell you. I'm sure he's going to walk in the middle of this segment because he has no respect for the sanctity of a midday show going on when he has a show coming up at 2. But Brendan Gunn producing the show. I'm Ray Dunn hanging out with you. Just real quick, I saw in the YouTube chat concern over Drew Makuba. They were curious if Andrew DeCecco touched on that. DeCecco still believes he's going to be the Week 1 starter, so I don't think there is long-term concern there. So, Miguel, answering your question there. Also leads me to the text line. B-Gun, we got a variety of things going on at 610-632-0975. The folks out there have thoughts on something, I'm sure. So, we'll get to the text line in just a second here when we get to this Mets conversation. But let's start on the text line. We'll get to this Mets thing.
All right, we got somebody checking in on that Alvarado conversation, the boo, the standing ovation that we had earlier. Somebody with no name says he got to cheer because if he doesn't get suspended, the Phils never get Duran.
So I keep seeing this. I don't, we could try and play this out a ton of different ways. I think we all agreed they needed a bullpen arm before Alvarado. Before the Alvarado situation, we all agreed they needed a bullpen arm. And if this was the year to truly push the chips in, then you probably end up making that move anyway. I don't know. Maybe they don't. And maybe that's why he's here. I'm not going to let Alvarado off the hook for not being available because I'm not sure what Dave Dombrowski would have done at the trade deadline.
You'd have more of a leg to stand on if Duran was a lefty. And it's okay, they probably wouldn't have added another high-powered lefty if he never got suspended, whatever. He's a righty that they're probably going to add anyway because Jordan Romano stunk since day one from the right-hand side, and he was supposed to be their high-leverage, powerful arm from the right-hand side. He was going to be here anyway. In my mind, he was going to be here.
He, someone else, I don't know. By the way, did you see the news, Felix Bautista?
Oh, a year, dude.
Year. Could you imagine? When everyone was make a trade. In June, if you had traded for Bautista and by the end of July before the deadline, his arm was cooked.
That would have been unfortunate.
That's why you don't make those deals that early.
No, you gotta wait till the end.
Right? That's why I wait till the end. But I don't know. Everyone wants to I'm not letting Alvarado off the hook because they got Duran. That's not how this works to me. They were going to go out and get an arm. Honestly, much as I have appreciated David Robertson, they probably don't go sign David Robertson. They have Alvarado. Alvarado, greater than that of Robertson. But if I were them, I would have taken the big swing at the reliever and add another fire. If you had the opportunity to add Duran for what they did, I still can't believe they got him for just what they got him. When I saw that trade was finalized, I was like, all right, see ya, Aiden Miller.
Yeah, Taiit and Mick
See ya,
Abel,
Justin Crawford. I was like, goodbye, one of you two. And Taiit and Mick Abel. Which, Abel, hey, props to you, man. Doing great job. Great work at AAA. Maybe they'll see you at the end of the season. But also props to him for just rehabbing his value to the point where he could be the second piece in that deal like that. But anything else on the text line for us?
Yeah, we got somebody checking in saying he came in, Alvarado that is, when they had a big lead and were going for a sweep. Fans were in a great mood already. If he looked horrible, maybe they would have booed him.
Yeah, I think if he made that game interesting, for sure, I think he could have been on the wrong end of some boos. And I'm sure there was a smattering of boos that were just overpowered by cheers. I'm not sure you didn't get the entire ballpark behind him. There were probably people rolling their eyes the way that, our morning show was pretty much rolling their eyes at the way people reacted to it. I'm sure there were people in the ballpark that were doing the same thing, why are we cheering this guy? So it wasn't unanimous, but I'm sure if the script was flipped there and they started to fall, you were oh man, they're going to have to get up a real reliever here for the rest, I'm sure people would have had and felt some type of way.
We also got your pal Carrie checking in. Says,
What's up,
I'm
Carrie?
with you, Gunn. I went to Temple in the early 2000s, and I was a big Nova fan. They were on fire.
Oh, that's it. They were on fire.
That's not me, though.
That's what you just said. That's
what
basically,
she said.
No, that's basically what you just said.
I was just quoting, I'm a vessel for the people, as in your pal Carrie on this one.
I'm a little disappointed. On that one, Carrie. I feel like I'm hurt by that one. Honestly, I take that one. That one hurts.
You're taking a big fat L on the text line today. We got JB in Pottstown. I'm right there with you, BG. I grew up a Florida State football fan. They didn't carry my major, so I went to Slippery Rock U, which had no major football program, but a great physical therapy program. Should I leave my SFU fandom in the past? No way.
Say SFU?
Yeah, Florida State.
SFU.
Is that what I said?
FSU. Yeah,
FSU.
I don't know, maybe like St. Francis.
I got confused because there was Slippery Rock was in there too.
With all due respect to the good people at Slippery Rock, I'm sure it's a fine institution. Going to Slippery Rock, like this was a conversation we got into with our old buddy Pat, like who is a massive Temple fan. When you don't go like Division I.
The Newman Knights are great at roller hockey. You leave your fandom of Temple in the past and you find a new sport to cheer for.
That's exactly it. I'm not going to begrudge a guy that went to Slippery Rock for not abandoning his Florida State fandom. That to me, I think it's a little different world here. Once we cross from
Is it
from the Division I to Division II, like what? Someone that went to Westchester, they could still support Westchester because Westchester's not going to end up playing Florida State.
That's fair, but
you have a legitimately
Westchester to FSU might be closer in competition.
Yeah, you see, you're an idiot. you're just a hater of the school you went to. That's the sad thing of it. You hate the school you went to.
No, I love the school I went to. The school itself is great.
I like legitimately. They were like, "What should we invite Brandon Gunn to this event?" Of course, yeah, he went to the school. I think if I ever get consulted on that question again, I would say no.
I love Temple University. What they did for me.
That's just a disrespectful thing you said.
It's
a disrespectful thing you say. So you're wrong, and you're out. That's all this comes down to.
I'm kicked out of the program.
No, you're not. No, you listen. You're just not invited back. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. That's if anyone's like, "Yo, should we invite?" No, I'm good. I'm good. He can't show up. He's disrespectful.
Shout out to the Klein College of Communication. Like, come on, man.
I was hanging out with all those good people last night, and now
they are good people. Luckily, they just don't play sports there.
No, you're done. You're out. You're gone. All right, finished.
Finito.
A little different. I think that if you didn't go, if you are not at a Division I school and you had a school that you supported Division I growing up, I can understand you sticking with that school because it's not like Slippery Rock and Florida State are going to have a game a year. You would literally have a game a year where the school that you grew up rooting for and the school you went to meet.
Yeah, and every other game, I'll cheer on those Temple Owls. I'm not rooting against them.
Yeah,
one night a year.
You're not rooting against them.
One night a year.
Yeah, just like I'm not rooting against St. Joe's, but if it comes to the two of them, I'm rooting for the school I went to. All right. Speaking of rooting interest, the Mets. They have had a very, very disappointing stretch here, which has allowed the Phillies, on top of the Phillies' hot play, to open up a 6.5-game lead in the division. And this 6.5-game lead is actually a bigger lead right now than what the Brewers have over the Cubs, and that's because the Cubs taking care of business. The Cubs right now have done a really, really good job of making it a little bit more interesting in that Central Division. Of course, doing a good job of getting themselves in wild card position. Hello, Ricky Batalco. Great to see you. I know you love.
How are you, Ray?
I'm great. What time is it?
I like you so much, I had to stop in.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, good to see you too. Colorado shows up 3 hours early. Ricky shows up 2 segments early for his show right here. We're attacked always. I got Bill at 12 o'clock hours staring at me through the glass. Ricky coming in here. I feel like I'm unfiltered's everywhere around. They're
trying to get you.
They're closing in.
Bill's behind you right now, putting up the monkey ears.
I would believe it. But the Cubs have done a good job of keeping it interesting there. And the Cubs right now, record-wise, better than anyone in the West, which is not something I don't think we ever thought 2 NL Central teams would be better than the best team in the NL West this year coming into the season. At least I didn't. Have we, though, as we look at how far the Phillies and Mets have gotten from one another, have we, I guess, not appreciated enough just how bad it's been for the Mets? Like, I feel like we haven't gotten maybe it's because I've been so protective of myself on the NL East race that I have not been able to do the whole LOL Mets, wow, this Mets stretch has been disastrous. Have we not enjoyed enough of just how putrid they've been over the last
I think when you lose your ace, you kind of lose sight of what's going on with your rivals because you're so focused on yourself. But, I mean, you're today, 6.5 games up, biggest lead in the National League East. The Mets have lost, 13 or 15 of the last 17, whatever it is at this point. They have not won many games. And it's ironic because it was coming off a stretch where they won 9 games in a row, and then they hit it back with the worst stretch of the season. I'm laughing at them from afar, but I think maybe they're so far in the rear view mirror from that conversation you and Kev had last week. Is the NL East over? I've kind of put them in the rear view already, and I'm looking elsewhere. That might be what it is. But we should also, turn around every once in a while and say, ha ha, laugh at them.
Is it wrong for me to not want to laugh at them until I know that there's not going to be a 3-game series between these two?
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, I don't want to do the preemptive laugh and then, like,
and then get what the Phils did to the Braves for 2 years in a row or whatnot.
Or what happened to the Phillies last year with the Mets.
True.
Like I almost, it might be an act of protection for me, or like me personally. For example, we got the basketball runs with Salciunas. There was a time when I went there and I blocked Connor twice. I didn't say anything to him in game because I know my abilities and I know where my shortcomings are.
And he'd come back for you.
Right. So I like to keep myself, nice and quiet, go keep playing the game. That's not my way. That's probably a way as fandom as well here, where I'm like, you know what, instead of getting just like obsessively loud and like just taunting what's going on with the Mets right now, I don't know if there's a chance they come back and this ends up being a 3-6 matchup.
See, I think last year spooked us a lot, man, because then you can't really say anything because they still have the trump card. Like, we've never met in the postseason before last year.
Right.
They beat us. They're going to say, okay, you got the National League East. We get the wild card. What happened last year?
Right.
And it's like, okay.
So maybe that's part of what I'm
That's
curious.
probably what it is.
Am I in the minority here of not celebrating this Mets demise? Like this putrid stretch? And should I be a little bit louder about just how bad they've been?
I think we're scarred. I think we're scarred from last year.
You get in on that 610-632-0975. The question was posed, can the Phillies catch the Brewers? I saw it in the YouTube channel. I want to just look into that. Can they? Should we be pushing for the top seed? Or is this just a tough 3 games for the Brewers and the best team in baseball record-wise for this year are going to right the ship? He's Brandon Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The summer's here, and you know what that means.
So I think I got the answer to why it's okay for me to be the way I am right now with the Mets and not really gloating at their expense. Like I've got friends who are Mets fans, and after a loss or two, maybe I'll send them a text like, "Hey, let's go Mets," type of thing, just letting them know that I was watching and that I'm aware of what's going on. But I haven't really had the full on look at them, look at those losers. And Money Moore in the YouTube chat says that you got 2 more series against them. You got 7 more games against them. Maybe it's you have to have more ground and you have games against them coming up for me to feel like I could start going that way. And right now, the Phillies are only a half game away from having as many games on them in the division as they have games coming up against them. But I feel like I can't get to that place with them, and you explained it about playing them last season. That also feels like another reason why I can't get to that place with them. I just can't take as much joy in them suffering as I feel like I should. And maybe I'm too hyper-focused on this team and the shortcomings I could see with this team and the fact that I could sit here and realistically predict the downfall of them. And because of that, I'm not going to let anyone else's downfall be something I get consumed with. But then again, I've done that for the Cowboys before, so I don't know why I'm not struggling with the Mets.
Yeah, I guess because the Cowboys are never going to win anything. You pretty much feel the same way
I do feel
against the Mets.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to win at all. But what's it going to take for you? I kind of feel the same way. Like I don't want to gloat at them because they can say, "Ha, we beat you last year." Like shut your mouth. Take that NL East title this year. As long as we get in there, we'll see you maybe down the line as well. We'll knock you out again. Like I don't like it. Does it take the Phils having to beat them in a postseason series to get that feeling back where you could gloat in the middle of a regular season? Does it take the Phils just winning it all?
A week from today.
Week from today?
Week from today. That's when I think I could start gloating.
When you play them again, maybe win the series?
So, change of plans also for me.
You're not going?
I am going, just not on Tuesday. I'm going Wednesday night. And there has never been a more lock of a loss than where I am going. They got the young pitcher that the Phillies have not seen yet that's pitching against them Wednesday night. And Phillies have Walker, which, again, not that he's Taiwan Walker that he got the reputation for, but the Phillies have never seen this guy. He pitches for the Mets. It's probably going to be a pivotal game in the series against the Mets. I've never felt more locked in. Also, I'm watching the game with my best friend growing up and his fiance. His fiance is a Mets fan. And every time I watch a game with her, the Mets beat the Phillies.
So tell us why you are doing all this.
I want to see my friend. He lives in New York, man. I want to go up to Citi Field.
Ray Dunn hates the Phillies.
I want this to be broken. I want this because it's been 2 games this season. It was my birthday, and we went in Wildwood to watch a game together. Shout out Tacos and Tequila. We went out and watched the game together, and they lost. And the 2 games have been, tough. So I'm thinking 3rd time's a charm.
What if it's not?
And I told her.
Are you done at that point?
No, I told her. I was like, listen, I fully support you marrying my friend here. You are a wonderful human being. However, if I watch another Phillies-Mets game with you in which the Phillies lose, we're just not watching games together. I'll come up.
I love how the blame's on her. And not you.
She's a good luck charm for the Mets. I think that's what it is.
And you're not the bad luck charm for the Phils against the Mets.
I have a winning record. I also saw them beat the Mets earlier this season. Don't turn this around on me. But I told her, I was like, listen, I'll never watch another Phillies-Mets game with you. It's nothing personal, but it's very personal to me. And I don't want this to... I'll come up to Citi Field. I'll watch different Mets game with you guys in my schedule, but I can't do Phillies-Mets with you guys anymore. It's wrong.
It's an automatic L. At that point.
So a week from today will be the show that I come back from New York. So we'll have an idea of where I stand at that point. But I'm looking forward to it. My friend, I have to call a violation on him. Did not realize that he was very much babysitting that Tuesday night. They're looking at, I don't know if it's dog sitting, babysitting. They're looking after his future brother-in-law, sister-in-law. It's their anniversary. He's looking after something for them. So they had committed to that. He didn't look at his calendar. I was like, yeah, Tuesday you can come up and we'll go to the game. Thank God I didn't buy the tickets.
That's a good point.
I didn't buy the tickets for Wednesday.
You would have been out of luck.
Every time you guys told me don't buy the tickets, I told you I bought the tickets. I had clearly not bought the tickets. I just didn't want you guys to talk me out of it. In my mind, I was going up to New York for that series. So now I actually have the tickets in my possession.
Listen to this. I might have solved my issue. But last night I'm sitting in that chair during one of the breaks of Philly Sports Tonight, and I'm scrolling down my For You page on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And what do I see? The official account of the New York Mets and R.A. Dickey warming up on my feed trying to sell me tickets to their alumni game. Where did I go wrong in this life where Twitter thought it would be a good idea to put that on my feed? Did I mess up the algorithm? Is that on me? Or is somebody here a secret Mets fan?
I think you're a Mets fan. For sure. Yeah, I think you're definitely a Mets fan. For sure.
Despise them.
Yeah. You're a Mets fan.
Despise them.
You basically were you're going to root for the Mets next Wednesday because you want me to be miserable. Your desire for me to be miserable actually supersedes your desire for the Phillies to win games, especially if the Phillies win the first 2 games of that series. There's going to be a lot of people.
You're out of luck at that point.
Yeah, if the Phillies win the first 2 games of that series, I do think a decent portion of the audience here to get one over on me, you and a decent portion of the office here will root for me to see a loss.
You probably
violation on all of you, by the way, but I think that's how it's going to happen.
If they sweep the Mets, though, I don't know, dude. I hate the Mets so much where, just to see you in a better situation, I think that supersedes that.
But if the Phillies win that series against the Mets,
it's done.
I think I will reach Kevin Cooney territory of saying it's a wrap.
Does that open the door though for them to come back and laugh at you in a harder way later on?
Well, let's play this out the rest of this weekend, because the Mets have one more today against the Nationals before the Nationals come down here. The Mets then go to Atlanta for a 3-game set. So let's say, all right, let's even it out. The Mets win today. They take 2 of 3 from the Nationals. They end up 6 back. The Phillies take 2 of 3 from the Nationals this weekend, and the Mets take 2 of 3 from the Braves. The better team wins both series, but they don't go with sweeps. So we end up with a 6-game lead for the Phillies going into New York. And the Phillies take 2 of 3 in New York. They end up with a 7-game series lead as we sit on the doorstep of September.
In worst case, I think you're leaving out with a 5-game lead, even at that point. I don't think you're getting swept.
Yeah, you would hope the worst case is a 5. At 5, though, yeah. You still have 4 games left against the two sides. So with that, the Phillies end up, let's do quick math here, end up 78 and 55 out of that stretch with the 4 wins and the 2 losses. 133, 162, minus 133. 29 games left. You have a 7-game lead.
That's cooked.
We all know what happened in 2007. When it was the other way around, the Mets lost a 7-game lead with 17 games to play. This team, without Wheeler, could go cold, which is why I'm not going to feel good about it until we get to that point. But they take 2 or 3 from the Mets, where they have a 7-game lead with 29 left to play, and you look at what's left to play on both sides.
The Phil's schedule's not that hard to finish out, I don't believe.
The Phillies are an average schedule the rest of the way. 17th in baseball, a .501 winning percentage. The Mets have the 4th toughest schedule in baseball right now left to go with a .517 winning percentage. You got series against the Tigers, obviously the 7 against the Phillies, 3 against the Cubs, 3 against the Padres, 3 against the Reds, and a lot of the easy portion of their schedule is tied up in 1 more against the Nationals. They have just 3 left against the Braves. That's this weekend. It would be I'll be honest with you, if I come back from New York with 2 or 3 a week from now, I think we're probably having that conversation.
That it's over.
I'm teasing the show open in a week.
Yeah, it's also ironic that a lot of the conversation surrounding the Phils when they're off to the best start in baseball before a little bit after Memorial Day was, they're playing easy teams. Well, they went through that bulk of that schedule where it was hard, and now they've made it out to the other side, and they got a 6.5-game lead.
Yeah.
And now the Mets have to play pretty much their hardest part of the schedule to finish it out.
And there was a question in the YouTube chat. Could they catch the Brewers? So the Brewers schedule 12th hardest in baseball the rest of the way. The Brewers will be done with the Cubs after today. So that series today is the end of the games in the Central. That will be the Cubs are trying to make it a 4-game difference between the two sides today. The Phillies have 3 against Milwaukee. Right now, and it's funny because the Phillies are closer to Milwaukee than the Mets are to the Phillies. I do think the Phillies kind of have to go to Milwaukee and sweep for that to be a conversation.
Which I don't foresee happening at all.
I mean, that Brewers team can regress and go 500 the rest of the way, but for them to go 500 the rest of the way, the Phillies really have to play over their heads.
It's much too early to look at it right now, the way the playoff bracket would shake out and all that, but when I looked at it last week, it kind of felt like the 2 seed was maybe the better spot to be.
Depends how you feel about who's winning the West.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like if you are not worried about the Dodgers, I would be. I would love to get that top pole positioning. If you get number one, let the Brewers, Dodgers figure it out. That that 5-game series be very entertaining. You end up with a 4-5 like the Cubs and the Padres. Probably the more favorable path for you. The alternative of the Dodgers in a 5-game set, I don't know. 5-game set versus 7-game set against Dodgers.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Yeah, and then you get Milwaukee in a 7-game set. Can you outlast them for 7? All right. You might be able to talk me into that second seed. You know, this guy's got a point. Brandon Gunn's got a point.
Something I was just looking at.
Yeah. We got 4 more hours of radio to do, you and I, tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we got that. We got the Checo for 3 of them. We're going to get you ready for preseason game number 3. Eagles, Jets, MetLife Field.
Let's do it.
Night. I'm thinking that we just might break down some preseason football. Excited for it tomorrow. The show, not the preseason game. He's Brendan Gunn. I'm Ray Dunn. Thanks to everyone tuned in today to Middays. I'll talk to you again real soon right here. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now,